Welcome to the new Chemist podcast.
We are so glad you are listening. Feel free to subscribe on Spotify and tell your friends and colleagues about the podcast. Welcome podcast and follow your friends and colleagues about the podcast.
Welcome to the new Chemist podcast.
Bienvenidos al podcast del nuevo químico.
Καλώς ήρθατε στο podcast του New Chemist. Welkom bij de podcast van The New Chemist.
Bienvenue sur le podcast du nouveau chimiste.
Bem-vindo ao podcast do novo químico.
Welcome to the new Chemist podcast. Work hard. Be value driven. You can do it. You can grow and learn it. You can be the difference you and your community needs. Don't give up. We are here rooting and cheering for you. Don't give up.
Travaillez dur. Soyez axés sur la valeur. Tu peux le faire. Vous pouvez grandir et l'apprendre. Vous pouvez être la différence dont vous et votre communauté avez besoin. N'abandonnez pas. Nous sommes ici pour vous encourager et vous encourager. N'abandonnez pas.
Trabalhar duro. Seja orientado por valores. Você consegue. Você pode crescer e aprender. Você pode ser a diferença que você e sua comunidade precisam. Não desista. Estamos aqui torcendo e torcendo por você. Não desista.
Δούλεψε σκληρά. Να οδηγείτε στην αξία. Μπορείς να το κάνεις. Μπορείτε να μεγαλώσετε και να το μάθετε. Μπορείτε να είστε η διαφορά που χρειάζεστε εσείς και η κοινότητά σας. Μην τα παρατάς. Είμαστε εδώ για να σας ζητοκραυγάσουμε. Μην τα παρατάς.
Trabaja duro. Sea impulsado por el valor. Puedes hacerlo. Puedes crecer y aprenderlo. Usted puede ser la diferencia que usted y su comunidad necesitan. No te rindas, estamos aquí animándote y animándote. No te rindas.
Werk hard. Wees waardegedreven. Je kunt het. Je kunt groeien en leren. U kunt het verschil zijn dat u en uw gemeenschap nodig hebben. Geef niet op. We zijn hier om voor je te roten en te juichen. Geef niet op.
Work hard. Be value driven. You can do it. You can grow and learn it. You can be the difference you and your community needs. Don't give up. We are here rooting and cheering for you. Don't give up. Thanks for listening. We're glad you were able to tune into this podcast. Once again, this is The New Chemist, where we discuss chemistry, which simply put is the science of change, as well as the other sciences, careers, community, research, and COVID-19. Thanks again for listening. Note, the views on this podcast represent those of my guest and I. You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist podcasting group. You listening in is significant.
Vous êtes très important, surtout pour nous ici au New Chemist Podcasting Group. Votre écoute est significative.
Usted es muy importante, especialmente para nosotros aquí en The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Usted escuchando, es significativo.
Você é muito importante. Especialmente para nós do The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Você ouvindo, é significativo.
Είστε πολύ σημαντικοί, ειδικά για εμάς εδώ στο The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Το να ακούς είναι σημαντικό.
Sie sind sehr wichtig, besonders für uns hier bei The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Es ist wichtig, dass du zuhörst.
Je bent erg belangrijk, vooral voor ons hier bij The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Dat je meeluistert, is veelbetekenend.
You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist Podcasting Group. You listening in is significant. Grateful and humbled to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist-in-training in the US. These episodes will be under the theme The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover, in summative form, key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course in NAPLEX Success. Note the purpose of these episodes. These are not at all for advice or medical suggestions, but to provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectually stimulating ways. These are not at all for medical advice or for medical suggestions. Please see your local state and board certified physician, PA, or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. The New Chemist becomes a pharmacist in training, the journey to NAPLEX Success. So the NAPLEX, the North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. Some big abbreviations you want to keep in mind: USP, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, and Natural Formulary, NF 29. So this would be episode 2A. So there will be a 2B and there will be a 2C. So this is 2A. Episode 2A. So biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. So some key ideas we want to keep in mind. Biopharmaceutics is a study of the relation of the physical and chemical properties of a drug to its bioavailability, pharmacokinetics, and pharmacodynamics and toxicological effects. Key terms in review: your drug product. It is the finished dosage form, example tablet, capsule, solution, that contains the active drug ingredient in association with non-drug, usually inactive ingredients, excipients that make up the vehicle or formulation matrix. Drug delivery system is a more complete concept, which includes the drug formulation and the dynamic interaction among the drug, its formulation matrix, its container, and the patient. Bioavailability is a measurement of the rate and extent or amount of systemic absorption of the therapeutically active drug. Pharmacokinetics is the study of the body's effect on the drug, ADME. Pharmacodynamics is the study of the drug's effect on the body. So, how we're going to do this episode is going to be completely lyrical. So we're going to begin the lyrical portion right now. Biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. Biopharmaceutics is like a Rubik's Cube, with your 4 ideas making you drool. Bioavailability is a measurement of the rate and extent or amount of systemic absorption. Please take the right portion. The systemic absorption of the therapeutically active drug. Yeah. Biopharmaceutics includes pharmacokinetics. Your A, your D, your M, your E. The effect of the body on the drug with that A absorption, D distribution, M metabolism, and excretion. Biopharmaceutics includes pharmacodynamics with the effects of the drug on the man. We are looking at the relation between drug concentration at the site of the action, its response, which is the main caption. Woo! Then we also consider in biopharmaceutics the toxicologic effects. Lest I forget, the drug product in its formulation matrix or vehicle with the active ingredient and excipients. Lest I forget, the drug delivery with the dynamic menagerie of interactions among the drug, its formulation matrix, its container, and the patient. Continuing on with the spiel, let's drive the drug transport and absorption wheel. Across the cell membrane, the drug molecules enter the bloodstream and are transported to the tissues and organs. Let's look at some key processes in absorption. Transcellular passive, diffusion and partitioning, paracellular transport, diffusion and convection. Let me add some vocal inflections with your carrier mediated transport and the P glycoprotein mediated efflux, which we'll get to in episode 2B. These general principles are important, you see. These general principles are important to know. These general principles are important so a symbol compose P Passive diffusion. Thugs. They traverse the cell membrane easily than your ionic soluble drugs. We cannot forget the LMWs, the low molecular weight, just like the chemical thugs, across a cell membrane more easily than the high molecular weight drugs. Let's keep it going. Do you hear what I say? We will progress in pharmacy. HU, you know, passive diffusion and partitioning within the cytoplasm, or the fluid that's interstitial. Your drugs under transport. This is not pontifical, it's simple. The simple diffusion with a great fixed law. Simple passive diffusion involves the transfer of drugs from an area of high concentration C1 to an area of low concentration C2 according to Fick's law. dq over dt equals ideally dA over H in brackets C1 minus C2, where dq over dt is the rate of drug diffusion. You see, D is the diffusion coefficient for the drug. A is the surface area of the plane across which transfer occurs. Remember your chemistry thugs. H is the thickness of the region through which diffusion occurs, and C1 minus C2 is the difference between the drug concentration in area 1 and area 2 respectively. So with the passive drug transport, welcome to my conceptual court. It involves successive partitioning of a solute between aqueous and lipid phases, as well as diffusion within respective phases. Modifying Fick's law, please. Let's applaud. I'm kidding, but we do this to accommodate partitioning of drug. dq over dt equals d times a times k over h in brackets C1 minus C2, where hold it, the rate of drug diffusion dq over dt now reflects its dependence on K, the oil to water partition coefficient of the drug, as well as on A, and in brackets C1 minus C2. Rum pa tum tum. Ionization of a weak electrolyte. You know, I always wanted to be an acolyte, a thurifer, a catechist, or a trumpeter, you see, but today we're talking about my good friend, not the trumpeter, but le chatelier, in the ionization. So ionization is affected by pH of the medium in which the drug is dissolved, as well as by the pKa. Remember, non-ionized are like the chemical thugs, more lipid soluble, the diffusive plug, if you will. They are more lipid soluble than the ionized, and it partitions more readily. Hopefully by now you realize. Rumpa tum tum, let's have a drum roll. Here, little beggar boy. Oh, that's 4. The periodic table. Let's talk about the transport process that's not a fable. The active transport of the drug, with it moving across a concentration gradient, requiring energy, selective potentially, saturation possibility, and competitive it can be. Yet we must look across the hall and see that facilitated diffusion is on the carrier-mediated transport system walls. Facilitated diffusion occurs across a concentration gradient and does not require energy. Obrigada, e você? Como você está? Tudo bem? Tudo bem? Tudo. Wow, fala pequeño português. So let's talk in English, por favor. S'il vous plaît. With that paracellular transport, drug transport across tight, narrow junctions between cells or trans-endothelial channels. No, I'm not talking about fire stick, but let me give you a conceptual trick. Paracellular transport involves both diffusion and convective or bulk flow of water and the accompanying water-soluble drugs to the channels. That can be a hint. Now let's look at the vesicles. Newly minted idea in this lyrical scheme. Vesicular transport is the process of engulfing particles or dissolved materials by a cell. Engulfment. Pino, we're drinking. Phago, we're eating. Pinocytosis, engulfment of small solute or fluid volumes. Phagocytosis is the engulfment of larger particles, your macromolecules, generally by macrophages. Endocytosis and exocytosis are the movement of macromolecules into and out of the cell. Biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. So we've reached the end of this lyrical scheme. you see. But we'll pick back up conceptually in episode 2B. Okay, so grateful and humbled to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in the US. These episodes again will be under the theme The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover in summative form key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course to NAPLEX Success. Note, the purpose of these episodes not at all for advice or medical suggestions, but to provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectually stimulating ways. Not at all for medical advice or medical suggestions. Please see your local state and board certified physician, PA or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. The newcomer becomes a pharmacist in training, the journey to NAPLEX Success. The North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, NAPLEX, is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. So this is an important exam. So big abbreviations we want to keep in mind as we conclude. USP 34, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, and NF Natural Formulary 29. So this is the end of the episode. Thanks for listening.
Grateful and humbled to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in training in the US. These episodes will be under the theme, The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover in summative form key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course to NAPLEX Success. Note, purpose of these episodes not at all for advice or medical suggestions, to provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectual stimulating ways, not at all for medical advice or for medical suggestions. See your local state and board certified physician, PA or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. The new chemist becomes a pharmacist in training. The journey to the NAPLEX. The North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, NAPLEX, is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. Big abbreviations. USP 34, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, Natural Formulary, NF 29, Pharmaceutical Principles and Drug Dosage Forms. Overarching ideas. Pharmaceutical principles are the underlying physical-chemical principles that allow a drug to be incorporated into a pharmaceutical dosage form, e.g. solution or capsule. These principles apply whether the drug is extemporaneously compounded by the pharmacist or manufactured for commercial distribution as a drug product. Dosage equals active drug ingredients plus excipients. Drug delivery system involves the prodrug, the formulation matrix, dynamic interaction, its container and the physiologic milieu. PFDIP prodrug, formulation matrix, dynamic interactions, its container, and physiologic milieux. A1. Drugs are categorized by the physical state, degree, its heterogeneity, and chemical composition. Physical state: solid, liquid, gas. 2. Intermolecular forces of attraction, nonpolar London dispersion or induced dipole interaction, polar dipole-induced dipole interaction, dipolar permanent dipole interactions, Keesom orientation forces. 3. Keesom orientation and Debye and London dispersion forces are van der Waals forces. 4. Hydrogen bonds. 5. Ion-ion, ion dipole, and ion-induced dipole forces. Symmetry and polarity are related in that symmetry influences electron cloud distribution and that influences polarity. Substances that flow in accordance with Newton's law are known as Newtonian substances. For a Newtonian fluid, a plot of shear stress as a function of shear rate, a flow curve or rheogram, yields a straight line with a slope of n, where n is the coefficient of viscosity. Non-Newtonian substances do not obey Newton's equation of flow. These types of substances exhibit shear-dependent or time-dependent viscosity. In either case of shear-dependent or time-dependent viscosity, technically apparent viscosity, thus Newton's law is not obeyed strictly. Non-Newtonian substances. A. Shear-dependent viscosity equals either increase in apparent viscosity or dilatancy or shear thickening. B. Shear-dependent viscosity equals decrease in apparent viscosity or pseudoplasticity or time-dependent viscosity. The yield value of plastic systems may be time-dependent, i.e. may depend on the time scale involved in the application of force. Big ideas: negative thixotropy or rheopoxy, decrease in fluidity, increase in structure. Thixotropy, increase in fluidity, decrease in structure. Thixotropic system display shear thinning behavior equals do not immediately recover their household transformation. Rheopoxy, negative thixotropy or antithixotropy, occurs when the apparent viscosity of the system continues to increase with continued application of shear up to some equilibrium value of a given shear rate. Solids, crystalline solids. 1. Molecular order, distinct melting points, anisotropicity. Amorphous solids. 1. Randomly arranged molecules, no melting points, isotropicity, less thermodynamic stability. Polymorphism. Polymorphs have different molecular arrangements, a process by which solvent molecules pass through a semi-permeable membrane, a barrier through which only solvent molecules may pass from region of dilute solution to one of more concentrated solution. Electrolyte solution of ionic equilibria. Acid-base equilibrium. H+ concentrated values are very small. Therefore, they are expressed in exponential notation as pH. The pH is the logarithm of the reciprocal of the H+ concentration. As pH decrease, H+ increase exponentially. Heterogeneous systems, dispersed systems. Introduction. Suspension greater than two-phase systems. Emulsion, rightwards arrow. Heterogeneous system, rightwards arrow. Inherently unstable. Emulsions involve emulsifying agent. Dispersion stability. In an ideal dispersion, the dispersed particles do not interact. In contrast, in a real density between the dispersion phase and the dispersion medium, particle size should be as small as possible. High particulate, dispersed phase concentration will increase the rate of particle-particle collisions and interaction. Avoidance of particle-particle interactions. Aggregation can be prevented if the particles have similar electrical charge. The magnitude of the charge is the difference in electrical potential between the charged surface of the particle and the bulk of the dispersion medium. Density can be manipulated to decrease the rate of dispersion instability. The sedimentation or flotation rate is inversely proportional to the viscosity. Emulsion stability, rightwards arrow. Coalescence occurs in emulsion system when the liquid particle of the dispersed phase merge two from larger. Coalescence of droplets in oil and water, OW. Emulsion is also inhibited by electrostatic repulsion of similarity charged particles. Creaming is the reversible separation of a larger of emulsion particles. However, cracking, or irreversible phase separation, is never acceptable. Phase inversion or emulsion type reversal involves the reversion of an emulsion from an OW to water in oil, WO form, vice versa. Chemical kinetics and drug stability. 92 terms in 22 minutes. Stability. The stability of the active component of a drug is major criterion in the rational design and evaluation of drug dosage forms. Active component. An active ingredient is a component that provides pharmacological activity and direct effects in diagnosis, mitigation, treatment, etc., adapted from the FDA's glossary. Substantial loss of the active ingredient form. The dosage form can be caused by extensive chemical degradation of the active ingredient. Toxic product can be produced by chemical degradation and has undesirable side effects. Decreased bioavailability can be caused by instability of the drug product. Also, the therapeutic efficacy of the dosage form may be substantially reduced. Rate of reaction, otherwise known as degradation rate, which is the velocity with which the reaction occurs. Key terms to look for: reaction concentration, temperature, pH, and the presence of solvents of additives. Pharmacokinetic principles: absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Order of a reaction: is the way in which the concentration of the drug or reactant in a chemical reaction affects the rate. Pharmaceutical degradation. Zero order, the rate is independent of the concentration of the reactants. First order, the rate depends on the first power of the concentration of single reactant. The drug concentration decreases exponentially with time. Half-life. This is the term used to describe the time required for the concentration of a drug to decrease by 1/2. The constant A and the constant E are obtained by determining K at several temperatures and then plotting log K against 1T. The activated state. The activation energy, E, is the amount of energy required to put the molecules in an activated state. Molecules must be activated to react, and as temperatures increase, more molecules are activated, and the reaction rate increases. Temperature increases. Very important in reactants becoming activated. pH of optimum stability can be determined by plotting the logarithm of the rate constant, K, as a function of pH, and the point of inflection of the plot is the pH of optimum stability. Complexing agents. Agents can improve drug stability. Example: aromatic esters such as benzocaine, procaine, and tetracaine increase in half-life in the presence of caffeine. This increased stability appears to result from the formation of a less reactive complex between the aromatic ester and the caffeine. Modes of pharmaceutical degradation. The decomposition of active ingredients in a dosage form occurs through several pathways. Hydrolysis is the most common type of degradation because many medicinal compounds are esters, amides, or lactams. Oxidation is usually mediated through reaction with atmospheric oxygen under ambient condition. Autooxidation. Antioxidants in the formulation react with the free radicals by providing electrons and easily available hydrogen atoms. In this way, they prevent the propagation of chain reactions. Commonly used antioxidants. These include ascorbic acid, butylated hydroxyandazole, BHA, butylated hydroxytoluene, BHT, propylgallate, sodium bisulfite, and the tocopherols. Photolysis is the degradation of drug molecules by normal sunlight or room light. Amber glass bottle or opaque container acts as a barrier to this light, thereby preventing or retarding photolysis. USP United States Pharmacopoeia NF National Formulary. Purified water. USP is water obtained by distillation, ion exchange, reverse osmosis or other suitable treatment. Water for injection. USP is water obtained by distillation or by reverse osmosis. Sterile water for injection. USP is water for injection that is sterilized and packaged in single-dose containers of type I and II glass. Bacteriostatic water for injection. USP is sterile water for injection that contains one or more suitable antimicrobial agents. Sterile water for inhalation. USP is water that is purified by distillation or by reverse osmosis, i.e., water for injection, and rendered sterile. Sterile purified water. USP is purified water sterilized and suitably packaged. Oral drug solution includes syrups and elixirs as well as other less widely prescribed classical galen-alkali formulations such as aromatic waters, tinctures, fluid extracts, and spirits. Syrup NF is a concentrated or nearly saturated aqueous solution of sugar, 85%, 65% WW. Elixirs are traditionally peroral solution that contain alcohol as a co-solvent. Many peroral solutions are not described as elixirs but contain alcohol. Aromatic elixir NF, prepared in part from syrup, contains approximately 22% alcohol. ISO alcohol elixir. It is a combination of low alcoholic elixir and elixir with low alcohol content, 8% to 10% alcohol, and high alcohol elixir, and elixir with high alcohol content, 73% to 78% alcohol. Aromatic waters are clear, saturated aqueous solution of volatile oils or other aromatic or volatile substances. Distillation is a universal method but is not practical or economical for most products. It is, however, for preparing strong rose water and orange flower water. Spirits, essences, are alcoholic or hydroalcoholic solutions of volatile substances that contain 50% to 90% alcohol. High alcoholic content maintains the water-insoluble volatile oils in solution. Tinctures are alcoholic or hydroalcoholic solutions of chemicals or soluble constituents of vegetable drugs. Fluid extracts are liquid extracts of vegetable drugs that contain alcohol as a solvent, preservative, or both. Nasal, ophthalmic, otic, and parenteral solutions are classified because of their specific use and method of preparation. Astringents are locally applied solutions that precipitate protein. Astringents cause constriction, with wrinkling and blanching of the skin. Because astringents reduce secretions, they can be used as antiperspirants. Antibacterial topical solutions, e.g. benzalkonium chloride, strong iodine, povidone iodine, kill bacteria when applied to the skin or mucous membranes in the proper strength and appropriate conditions. Suspension greater than lotions in magmas, which are suspensions of finely divided material in a small amount of water. For purposes of suspensions: 1. Sustaining effect. For a sustained release preparation, a suspension necessitates drug dissolution before absorption. Also, there is stability, basic solubility, and taste, which is referring to the fact that a drug with an unpleasant taste can be converted into an insoluble form and then prepared as a suspension. Suspending agents include hydrophilic colloids, clays, and a few other agents. Some are also used as emulsifying agents. Examples: hydrophilic colloids, clays, and other agents. Emulsifying agents: any compound that lowers the interfacial tension and forms a film at the interface can potentially function as an emulsifying agent. Examples include natural emulsifying agents such as acacia and tragacanth, and also agar, and also synthetic emulsifying agents such as sulfuric acid esters and polysorbates. Fusion method. This method is used when the base contains solids that have higher melting, e.g. wax acetyl alcohol, glyceryl monostearate. Suppositories. A suppository is solid or semi-solid mass intended to be inserted into a body orifice, i.e. rectum, vagina, urethra. Compression is generally used when cocoa butter is used as a base. The fusion method is the principal way that suppositories are made commercially. This method is used primarily for suppositories that contain cocoa butter, PEG, and glycerin gelatin bases. The capacity of molds is determined by melting a sufficient quantity of base over a steam bath, pouring it into the molds, and allowing it to congeal. Thermolabile drugs and insoluble powders. Powders. A pharmaceutical powder is a mixture of finely divided drugs or chemicals in dry form. The powder may be used internally or externally. Milling is the mechanical process of reducing the particle size of solids. Comminution. Before mixing with other components, further processing, or incorporation into a final product. Comminution. Reducing the particle size of solids. Micromeritics is the study of particles. Trituration. The substance is reduced to small particles by rubbing it in a mortar with a pestle. Pulverization. By intervention, substances are reduced and subdivided with an additional material, i.e. solvent, that is easily removed after pulverization. Levication. The particle size of the substance is reduced by adding a suitable non-solvent, levigating agent, to form a paste. Spatulation. A spatula is used to blend small amounts of powders on a sheet of paper or a bill tile. Geometric dilution is used when potent substances must be mixed with a large amount of diluent. Sifting. Powders are mixed by passing them through sifters similar to those used to sift flour. This process results in a light, fluffy product. Usually, it is not acceptable for incorporating potent drugs into a diluent base. Tumbling is the process of mixing powders in a large container rotated by a motorized process. Use in packaging of powders. Depending on their intended use, powders are packaged and dispensed by pharmacists as bulk powders or divided powders. Antacid and laxative powders are used by mixing the directed amount of powder in a portion of liquid, which the patient then drinks. Other powders include douche powders, medicated and non-medicated powders for external use, and dentifrices or dental cleansing powders. Insufflation. The act of blowing a gas, powder or vapor into a body cavity. Tablet design and formulation characteristics of ideal tablets: they are free of defects, e.g. chips, cracks, discoloration, contamination, strong enough to withstand the mechanical stresses of production, chemically and physically stable over time, capable of releasing medicinal agents in a predictable and reproducible manner. Tablets are manufactured by wet granulation, dry granulation, or direct compression. Regardless of the method of manufacture, tablets for oral ingestion usually contain excipients, which are components added to the active ingredients that have special function. Binders and adhesives are added in either dry or liquid form to promote granulation or to promote cohesive compacts during direct compression. Disintegrants are added to the tablet formulation to facilitate disintegration when the tablet contacts water in the gastrointestinal tract. Common disintegrants include cornstarch and potato starch. Lubricants reduce friction that occurs between the walls of the tablet and the walls of the dye cavity when the tablet is ejected. Anti-adherents reduce sticking, or adhesion, of the tablet granulation or powder to the faces of the punches or the dye walls. Glidants promote the flow of the tablet granulation or powder by reducing friction among particles. Tablet types and classes. Tablets are classified according to their route of administration, drug delivery system, and form and method of manufacture. Tablets for oral ingestion are designed to be swallowed intact, with the exception of chewable tablets. Compressed tablets are formed by the compression and have no special coating. Multiple compressed tablets are layered or compression-coated. Repeat action tablets are layered or compression-coated tablets in which the outer layer or shell rapidly disintegrates in the stomach. Delayed action and enteric-coated tablets delay the release of a drug from a dosage form. This delay is intended to prevent destruction of the drug by gastric juices, to prevent irritation of the stomach lining by the drug. There are other types of coating including sugar coating, chocolate coating, film-coated tablets, chewable tablets, etc. Processing problems. Capping is the partial or complete separation of the top or bottom crown from the main body of the tablet. Lamination is the separation of a tablet into two or more distinct layers. Picking is the removal of the surface material of a tablet by a punch. Mottling is unequal color distribution, with light or dark areas standing out on an otherwise uniform surface. Friability is the tendency of the tablet to crumble. Friabilators determine friability by allowing the tablet to roll and fall within a rotating tumbling apparatus. The tablets are weighed before and after a specified number of rotations, and the weight loss is determined. Aerosol products. Aerosol products are pressurized dosage forms, and they are designed to deliver drugs systemically or topically with the aid of liquefied or propelled gas. Propellants used in aerosol producers include compressed gases such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen and nitrous oxide, and liquefied gases including saturated hydrocarbons such as N-butane, isobutane, etc. Meter-dose inhalers, MDI. These are devices that allow a drug to be inhaled as a fine mist of drug or drug-containing particles. Controlled release dosage forms. These are also known as delayed release, sustained action, prolonged action, sustained release, etc. These are designed to release drug substance slowly to provide prolonged action in the body. Advantages include fewer problems with patient compliance and use of less total drug. Sustained release forms can be grouped by their pharmaceutical mechanism. Coated beads or granules produced a blood level profile similar to that obtained with multiple dosing. Microencapsulation is a process by which solids, liquids, or gases are encased in microscopic capsules. Conservation is the most common method of microencapsulation, and it occurs when a hydrophilic substance is added to colloidal drug dispersion and causes layering and the formation of microcapsules. Matrix tablets use insoluble plastics or fatty compounds. The most common method of preparation is mixing of the drug with the matrix material followed by compression of the material into tablets. Osmotic systems include the Oro system, ALSA, which is an oral osmotic pump composed of a core tablet and a semi-permeable coating that has a small hole. Ion exchange resin can be complex with drugs by passage of a cationic drug solution through a column that contains resin. The drug is complex to resin by replacement of hydrogen atoms. Complex formation is used for certain drug substances that combine chemically with other agents. Purpose of these episodes not at all for advice or medical suggestions. To provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectual stimulating ways. Not at all for medical advice or for medical suggestions. See your local state and board certified physician, PA or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. Grateful and humble to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in training in the US. These episodes will be under the theme, The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover in summative form key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course to NAPLEX Success. Again, grateful and humble to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in training in the US. These episodes will be under the theme, The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover in summative form key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course to NAPLEX Success. The new chemist becomes a pharmacist in training. The journey to the NAPLEX, the North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination. NAPLEX is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. Big abbreviations. USP 34, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, Natural Formulary, NF 29. Note: purpose of these episodes not at all for advice or medical suggestions. To provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectual stimulating ways. Not at all for medical advice or for medical suggestions. See your local state and board certified physician, PA or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions.
First 100, first 100, 1, 2, 1, 2. First 100, first 100, first 100K. Let's rhyme while we can. This is a learning trip with the brand, and the generic. Very fast, let's go. Let's look at the drug class A. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. First the brand, then the generic. Okay, let's go fast and we'll race to the drug class. Keflex, cephalexin, the antibiotic class it is in. Glucophage, metformin, hydrogen chloride. Diabetes is the drug class it is inside. Lipitor, atorvastatin. Cholesterol is a D-cetin. Omnicef, cefdinir. Antibiotic drug class, yes sir. Nexium, esomeprazole. Anti-ulcer class, yeah, this has a benzodiazole. Tenormin, atenolol, all. Blood pressure drug class with that functional group, yeah. Alcohol. Prozac, yeah. Fluoxetine, the antidepressant, yeah. DC is seen. Ultram, oh yeah. Tramadol, analgesic, that DC is called. Prevacid, lansoprazole, anti-ulcer, it's a member of the benzimidazole. Bactrim, sulfamethoxazole, trimethoprim, the antibiotic is a DC, it's in. Prilosec, yeah, that omeprazole, anti-ulcer DC, come on, let's fold. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Percocet, oxycodone APAP, it's in the analgesic DC, you see. Plavix, clopidogrel bisulfate, heart disease DC, can you tell? Xalatin, Oh yeah, Latana Pros. It's in the glaucoma DC. Okay, let's toast. First 100A. First 100A. First 100K. Atavan. Yeah, lorazepam. Anti-anxiety DC. Yes sir, yes ma'am. Valium. Diazepam. Anti-anxiety. Let's go swimming since I swam in high school. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Humalog, insulin less pro. It's in the diabetes DC, you know. Deseril, trazodone hydrogen chloride. The antidepressant DC, it's inside. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Ortho tricycline, low, norgestimate, or EE. Contraceptive, yo. Premarin, conjugated estrogen, hormone replacement DC, it is in. Osifex, rabeprazole, anti-ulcer, wow, you are on a roll. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Methotrexate, amethopterin, the anti-metabolite DC, it's in. Estrase, the estradiol, hormone replacement, the DC is called. Cleocin, clindamycin, the antibiotic class, it is in. Combivent, ipratropium, or albuterol, COPD drug class is called. Diovan, valsartan, the blood pressure DC, it is in. Wow, yes we can. Yes we can. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Nikon, mestranol, or norethindrone, contraceptive DC, it is known. Avandia, rosiglitazone, diabetes DC, it is known. Amaryl, glimepiride, diabetes DC, it is inside. Guafanex, PSC, guafanesin, or PSC, nasal congestion or expectorant, you see. Cymbalta, dual oxetine, hydrogen chloride, antidepressant, it is inside. Diflucan, fluconazole, antifungal is the DC I'm told. Flomax, tamsulosin, hydrogen chloride, enlarged prostate is the DC, it's inside. Octonel, risedronate sodium, anti-osteoporosis is the DC. Celebrex, celecoxib, anti-inflammatory. So let's live. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Macrodantin, nitrofurantoin, antibiotic is a DC coin. Spiriva, tiotropium bromide, asthma is the DC, it's inside. Glycolax, polyethylene glycol, laxative is a DC, drum roll. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Clonopin, clonazepam, anti-anxiety, yes sir, yes ma'am. Tylenol, acetaminophen, or codeine, analgesic DC is on the scene. Sildenafil, Viagra, erectile dysfunction, voila. Zetia, ezetimibe, cholesterol is the DC, it's inside. Medrol, methylprednisolone, anti-inflammatory is its DC zone. Norvax, amlodipine becylate, blood pressure DC, that is great. Cipro, ciprofloxacin, ciprofloxacin, antibiotic DC, it's in. Let's try that back. Ciprofloxacin, antibiotic DC, it is in. Destril, lisinopril, blood pressure DC. Okay, now chill. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Trinessa, Norgestamate or EE. Contraceptive DC, that is great. Synthroid or Levoxil, Levothyroxine, thyroid replacement. Side bra. My brothers will. What? Let's get back. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Allegra, Fexofenadine, hydrogen chloride. Allergy is DC on the scene. DC, for all those listening, is how we refer to the drug class it's in. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Proventil or Proel-Ventolin, albuterol sulfate, asthma DC it's in. Chlorcon, potassium chloride, potassium replacement DC it's inside. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Phenergan, promethazine hydrogen chloride, cough suppressant DC it is inside. Penvic, penicillin, antibiotic class it is in. Levaquin, levofloxacin, antibiotic class it is in. Antibiotic. Hydrodiaryl, hydrochlorothiazide, diuretic DC it is inside. Folbine, folic acid, supplement DC. Wow, this list is massive. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Protonix, pantoprazole, anti-ulcer DC is what I'm told. Zocor, simvastatin, cholesterol DC is what it's in. Flexeril, cyclobenzaprine, muscle relaxer DC, this is a farm dream. Zyrtec, cetirizine, allergy DC is a class on the scene. Fosamax, alendronate sodium, osteoporosis DC, this is intellectual matrimonium. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Lantus, insulin glargine, diabetes DC is on the scene. Lexapro, escitalopram, antidepressant DC, yes sir, yes ma'am. Xanax, alprazolam, anti-anxiety. Let's camcord this. Whoa! First 100A, first 100K. Singular, Montelukast sodium. Asthma is a DC, so let's go. First 100A, first 100K, first 100A. Neurotin, gabapentin, anti-neurotic DC, it's in. Lasix, furosemide, diuretic DC, it's inside. Amoxicillin, antibiotic DC, it's in. Antibiotic. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Flonase, fluticasone, propionate, allergy DC. That is great. Antidepressant. Whoa, I could use a break. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Vicodin, hydrocodone, OIPAP, analgesic DCIC. Let's go back again. Wellbutrin or Zimban, bupropion, hydrogen chloride, antidepressant. I could use a trip inside to the ice cream store. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Vicodin, hydrocodone, OIPAP, analgesic DCIC. Zithromax, azithromycin, antibiotic DC, it's in. Motrin, ibuprofen, anti-inflammatory DC, it's in. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Effexor, venlafaxine, hydrogen chloride, antidepressant DC, it's inside, deltazone, prednisone, anti-inflammatory DC is in the zone, Zoloft, sertraline, hydrogen chloride, antidepressant DC, it's inside, Advair, fluticasone, propionate, osameterol, asthma DC, that's great, let's call it a draw. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Nasonex, mometazone furoate, allergies, that DC, that's great. Tricor, fenofibrate, cholesterol DC, to that class, don't be late. Selex, citalopram, antidepressant DC, yes sir, yes ma'am. Viterin, ezetimibe, or simvastatin, cholesterol DC is what it's in. Yasmin, dosperenone, or EE, it's a contraceptive DC. You see DC in this rap, let me remind you, stands for that drug class, so don't fall behind the stand. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Fibromycin, doxycycline, antibiotic DC, that's fine. Fibromycin, doxycycline, antibiotic DC, that's fine. Paxil, paroxetine, antidepressant DC on the scene. Crestor, rosuvastatin, cholesterol DC, it is in. Diazide, or moxide, HCTZ, triamterene, that diuretic DC is on the scene. Detrol, tolterodine, tatrate, that overactive bladder DC, so don't be late to the test. Whoa! First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Mevacor, lovastatin, cholesterol DC is what it's in. Tusionex, chlorpheniramine, or hydrocodone, that cough suppressant DC is that zone it's in. First 100A, first 100A. Elavil, amitriptyline, antidepressant drug class is on the scene. Aldactone, spironolactone, diuretic DC is the zone. Minosin, minocycline, antibiotic DC, so pristine. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Evista, raloxifene, osteoporosis DC, it's in. Lotril, amlodipine, or benzapril, blood pressure DC, so just chill. Minosin, minocycline, antibiotic DC, so pristine. First 100A, first 100K, first 100A, first 100A, first 100A, first 100A, first 100A, first 100A, first 100A. Mobic, meloxicam, anti-inflammatory DC, yes ma'am. Ambien, zolpidem, tartrate, a DC. So say it again now. Ambien, zolpidem, tartrate, that sedative DC. So say first 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Xyloprim, allopurinol, that anti-gout DC. Come on, let's go on that crawl. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Adderall, dextroamphetamine, and amphetamine. CNS stimulant is on the scene. Adderall, dextroamphetamine, and amphetamine. CNS stimulant is on the scene. Cialis, tadalafil, erectile dysfunction DC. Wow, chill. First 100A, first 100A, first 100K. Okay, so this will be an addendum to the episode in which we discuss some common abbreviations outlined in pharmacy. Some of these are in Latin, many of these are in Latin. So AA dot, ana, of each, AD, up to make. So just draw back, AA dot, ana, which means of each, AD, add, which means up to or to make, DISP dot, dispensator, dispense means to dispense, DIV dot, divator, divide, D dot T dot D, denter talis doses, which means give us such doses, FT fiat, which means to make, capital M dot mise, which means to mix, N, capital N, O dot numero, which means number, non, space, rep, REP dot, or NR, which both are capitalized, means non-repetitor, and that means do not repeat. QS, quantum sufficient, a sufficient quantity. QSAD, Q dot S dot AD, quantum sufficient add, a sufficient quantity to make. SIG dot signa, which means to write, in brackets directions on label. So some common abbreviations, you have BSA, body surface area, cm raised to the 3, cubic centimeter or milliliter. F or FL, fluid. Let's go through some more. G is gram, GAL is gallon, GTT, gutter, which means drop, I.U. or IU, international units, LB, libra, which means pound, kg, kilogram, L, liter, M to the second, or capital M to the second, square meter, MCG, microgram, MEQ, milliequivalent, mg, milligram, mg over kg, milligrams of drug per kilogram of body weight, mg over m squared, milligrams of drug per square meter of body surface area, m, capital IU or milli, IU, thousandth of an international unit, capital M, capital I, capital U, million international units, ml, milliliter, ml per h, milliliters of drug administered per hour as through intravenous administration. M, capital OSM, or M, capital OSMOL. So M, capital O, lowercase s, lowercase m, or M, capital O, lowercase s, lowercase m, OL, milliosmoles. So OZ dot, ounce, PT pint, QT quart, SS or SS with a line over both S's means 1/2, semisem, TBSP dot, tablespoonful, TSP dot, teaspoonful, admin, administer, AM, ante, meridium, morning, AQ dot, aqua, water, dye, twice a day. C or C with a line over it, come, which means with, D in bracket, or dye, which means day, DIL dot, dilutus, dilute, et, and H dot or HR dot, aura, which means hour, HS, aura, somni, at bedtime, IC, intercibos, between meals, MIN dot, minutum, minute, MNN, morning and night, N and V, both N and V are capitalized, nausea and vomiting, NOCT dot, nocte, night, NPO, non per os, nothing by mouth, PC, post-cibos, after meals, PM, post-meridium, afternoon or evening, PO, per os, by mouth or orally, PRN, pro, re, nata, as needed, Q, quaque, every, Q, capital AM, every morning, Q4H or Q8H, etc., every, number in brackets, hours, QID, quarter in die, 4 times a day, QID, quarter in die, 4 times a day, rep, dot, repetitor, repeat, S, sine, without, SID, semel in die, once a day, SOSC opposite if there is need as needed. SOSC opposite if there is need or as needed. Stat stamnen immediately. TID tur and die 3 times a day. Ut dictum as directed. WK dot week. So APAP acetaminophen. So a PAP acetaminophen, ASA aspirin, AZT zidovudine, EES erythromycin ethyl succinate, HC hydrocortisone, HCTZ hydrochlorothiazide, MTX methotrexate, NSAID non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So MTX methotrexate, NSAID non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. NTG nitroglycerin. So clinical abbreviations, you have AFib, atrial fibrillation, ADR, adverse drug reaction. You also have BM, bowel movement. All of these are capitalized. BP, blood pressure. BS, blood sugar. CAD, coronary artery disease. CHD, coronary heart disease. CHF, congestive heart failure. COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Okay, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disease. CRF, chronic renal failure. CV, cardiovascular. ENT, air, nose, and throat. GI, gastrointestinal. GFR, glomerular filtration rate. GU, genitourinary. HA, headache. HBP, heart rate. HR, high blood pressure. HRT, hormone replacement therapy. HT or HTN, hypertension. HT or HTN, hypertension. IOP, intraocular pressure. MI, myocardial ischemia / infarction. So MI, myocardial ischemia / infarction. OA, osteoarthritis. PT, patient. QL, quality of life. So P is capitalized, T is lowercase. Patient. QL, quality of life. RA, rheumatoid arthritis. SOB, shortness of breath. And that means dextrose 5% in lactated ringers. D5NS, dextrose 5% in normal saline, in brackets 0.9% sodium chloride. D5W, dextrose 5% in water. D10W, dextrose 10% in water. ELIX dot, elixir, INJ dot, so INJ dot, injection. NS, normal saline. Half NS, half strength normal saline. Oint or UNGT, unct, or that means, so unct, UNGT means unguentum, and that means ointment. So UNGT dot stands for unguentum, which means ointment. PULV dot pulvis, L dot solutio, solution. SUPP dot suppositorium, suppository. SUSP dot suspension, SUSP dot suspension. SYR dot syrupus, syrup. CAB dot tableta, tablet. So routes / location of administration. A dot D dot aureus dextro, right ear. A dot S dot aureus sinistro, left ear. A dot U dot aureus utro, each ear, or both. Capital CIVI, continuous, in brackets 24 hours, intravenous infusion. ID, intradermal. INJ, injection. IM, intramuscular. IT, intrathecal. IV, intravenous. IVB, intravenous bolus. IV drip, intravenous infusion. IVP, intravenous push. IVPB, intravenous piggyback. NGT, nasogastric tube. NGT, nasogastric tube. O.D. oculodextro, right eye. O.S. oculosinistro, left eye. O.U. oculoutro, each eye. So both P.O. or PO, per os, by mouth. REC. Or prorecto, rectal or rectum. So REC. Or prorecto, which means rectal or rectum. SL, Both S and L are capitalized. Sublingual, SUBQ, or SC subcutaneously, TOP. Of the addendum. Grateful and humbled to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in training in the US. These episodes will be under the theme The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover, in summative form, key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course in NAPLEX Success. Note the purpose of these episodes. These are not at all for advice or medical suggestions, but to provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectually stimulating ways. These are not at all for medical advice or for medical suggestions. Please see your local state and board certified physician, PA, or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. The new chemist becomes a pharmacist in training, the journey to NAPLEX Success. So the NAPLEX, the North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. Some big abbreviations you want to keep in mind: USP, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, and Natural Formulary, NF 29. So this will be episode 2A. So there will be a 2B and there will be a 2C. So this is 2A, episode 2A. So biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. So some key ideas we want to keep in mind. Biopharmaceutics is a study of the relation of the physical and chemical properties of a drug to its bioavailability, pharmacokinetics, and pharmacodynamics and toxicological effects. Key terms in review: your drug product. It is the finished dosage form, example tablet, capsule, solution, that contains the active drug ingredient in association with non-drug, usually inactive ingredients, excipients that make up the vehicle or formulation matrix. Drug delivery system is a more complete concept, which includes the drug formulation and the dynamic interaction among the drug, its formulation matrix, its container, and the patient. Bioavailability is a measurement of the rate and extent or amount of systemic absorption of the therapeutically active drug. Pharmacokinetics is the study of the body's effect on the drug, ADME. Pharmacodynamics is the study of the drug's effect on the body. So how we're going to do this episode is going to be completely lyrical. So we're going to begin the lyrical portion right now. Biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. Biopharmaceutics is like a Rubik's Cube, with your 4 ideas making you drool. Bioavailability is a measurement of the rate and extent or amount of systemic absorption. Please take the right portion. The systemic absorption of the therapeutically active drug. Yeah. Biopharmaceutics includes pharmacokinetics. Your A, your D, your M, your E. The effect of the body on the drug with that A absorption, D distribution, M metabolism, and excretion. Biopharmaceutics includes pharmacodynamics with the effects of the drug on the man. We are looking at the relation between drug concentration at the site of the action, its response, which is the main caption. Woo! Then we also consider in biopharmaceutics the toxicologic effects effects. Lest I forget, the drug product in its formulation matrix or vehicle with the active ingredient and excipients. Lest I forget, the drug delivery with the dynamic menagerie of interactions among the drug, its formulation matrix, its container, and the patient. Continuing on with the spiel, let's drive the drug transport and absorption wheel. Across the cell membrane, the drug molecules enter the bloodstream and are transported to the tissues and organs. Let's look at some key processes in absorption. Transcellular passive, diffusion and partitioning, paracellular transport, diffusion and convection. Let me add some vocal inflections. With your carrier mediated transport and the P-glycoprotein mediated efflux, which we'll get to in episode 2b. These general principles are important, you see. These general principles are important to know. These general principles are important so a symbol compose P, passive diffusion in thugs. They traverse the cell membrane easily than your ionic soluble drugs. We cannot forget the LMWs, the low molecular weight, just like the chemical thugs, across a cell membrane more easily than the high molecular weight drugs. Let's keep it going. Do you hear what I say? We will progress in pharmacy. HU, you know. Passive diffusion and partitioning within the cytoplasm, or the fluid that's interstitial. Your drugs under transport. This is not pontifical, it's simple. The simple diffusion with a great fixed law. Simple passive diffusion involves the transfer of drugs from an area of high concentration C1 to an area of low concentration C2. According to Fick's law, dq over dt equals ideally dA over H in brackets C1 minus C2, where dq over dt is the rate of drug diffusion, you see. D is the diffusion coefficient for the drug. A is the surface area of the plane across which transfer occurs. Remember your chemistry thugs. H is the thickness of the region through which diffusion occurs, and C1 minus C2 is the difference between the drug concentration in area 1 and area 2 respectively. So with the passive drug transport, welcome to my conceptual court. It involves successive partitioning of a solute between aqueous and lipid phases. as well as diffusion within respective phases. Modifying. Fixed law, please. Let's applaud. I'm kidding, but we do this to accommodate partitioning of drug. dq over dt equals d times a times k over h in bracket c1 minus c2, where hold it, the rate of drug diffusion dq over dt now reflects its dependence on k, the oil to water partition coefficient of the drug, as well as on A, and in brackets C1 minus C2. Rum per tum. Ionization of a weak electrolyte. You know, I always wanted to be an acolyte, a thurifer, a catechist, or a trumpeter, you see, but today we're talking about my good friend, not the trumpeter, but le chatelier, in the ionization. So ionization is affected by pH of the medium in which the drug is dissolved, as well as by the pKa. Remember, non-ionized are like the chemical thugs, more lipid soluble, the diffusive plug, if you will. They are more lipid soluble than the ionized, and it partitions more readily. Hopefully by now you realize. Rumpa tum tum, let's have a drum roll. Here, little beggar boy. Oh, that's 4. The periodic table. Let's talk about the transport process that's not a fable. The active transport of the drug, with it moving across a concentration gradient, requiring energy, selective potentially, saturation possibility, and competitive it can be. Yet we must look across the hall and see that facilitated diffusion is on the carrier-mediated transport system walls. Facilitated diffusion occurs across a concentration gradient and does not require energy. Obrigada, e você? Como você está? Tudo bem? Tudo bem? Tudo. Wow, fala pequeño português. So let's talk in English, por favor. S'il vous plaît. With that paracellular transport, drug transport across tight, narrow junctions between cells or trans-endothelial channels. No, I'm not talking about fire stick, but let me give you a conceptual trick. Paracellular transport involves both diffusion and convective or bulk flow of water and the accompanying water-soluble drugs through the channels. To the channels. That can be a hint. Now let's look at the vesicles. Newly minted idea in this lyrical scheme. Vesicular transport is the process of engulfing particles or dissolved materials by a cell. Engulfment. Pinot, we're drinking. Phago, we're eating. Pinocytosis, engulfment of small solute or fluid volumes. Phagocytosis is the engulfment of larger particles, your macromolecules, generally by macrophages. Endocytosis and exocytosis are the movement of macromolecules into and out of the cell. Biopharmaceutics and drug delivery systems. So we've reached the end of this lyrical scheme. You see, but we'll pick back up conceptually in episode 2B. Okay, so grateful and humbled to be pursuing further studies as a pharmacist in the US. These episodes again will be under the theme, The Journey to NAPLEX Success. These will cover in summative form key points that stand out to me as I embark on my journey as a pharmacy student and chart a course to NAPLEX Success. Note, the purpose of these episodes is not at all for advice or medical suggestions, but to provide support for peer pharmacists in training in educational and intellectually stimulating ways. Not at all for medical advice or medical suggestions. Please see your local state and board certified physician, PA or NP, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. The newcomer becomes a pharmacist in training, the journey to NAPLEX Success. The North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, NAPLEX, is a standard examination created by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, NABP, to help individual state boards of pharmacy assess an individual's competency and knowledge so that they may be given a license to practice. So this is an important exam. So big abbreviations you want to keep in mind as we conclude. USP 34, United States Pharmacopoeia 34, and NF Natural Formulary 29. So this is the end of the episode. Thanks for listening.
Top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 1. Lortab, hydrocodone / acetaminophen opioid pain 2. Vicodin, hydrocodone / acetaminophen opioid pain 3. Lorcet, hydrocodone / acetaminophen opioid pain 4. Norco, hydrocodone / acetaminophen opioid pain 5. Synthroid, levothyroxine T4 hypothyroidism 6. Levoxyl, levothyroxine T4 hypothyroidism 7. Levothyroid, levothyroxine T4 hypothyroidism 8. Prinavil, lisinopril ACE hypertension / proteinuria 9. Zestril, lisinopril ACE hypertension / proteinuria 10. Xanax, alprazolam benzoanxiety 11. Fortamit, metformin biguanide diabetes 12. Glumetza, metformin biguanide diabetes 13. Glucophage, metformin biguanide diabetes 1/29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 14. Lasix, furosemide loop diuretic hypertension / edema 15. Preluzec, omeprazole PPI GERD 16. Zocor, simvastatin HGM-CoA reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia 17. Livalo, pitavastatin HGM-CoA reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia 18. Alscol, fluvastatin HGM-CoA reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia, take at bedtime, 19. Lipita, atorvastatin HGM-CoA reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia 20. Norfasc, amlodipine DHP calcium channel blocker hypertension 21. Proventil, albuterol short-acting beta agonist rescue inhaler 22. Ventolin, albuterol short-acting beta agonist rescue inhaler 23. Proair, albuterol short-acting beta agonist rescue inhaler 24. Ambien, zolpidem imidazopyridine sleep 25. Celexa, citalopram SRI anxiety / depression 2/29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 26. Hydrodiuryl, hydrochlorothiazide diuretic hypertension 27. Neurontin, gabapentin GABA analog nerve pain, epilepsy 28. Zantac, ranitidine H2 GERD 29. Ultram, tramadol central acting analgesic pain 30. Bias, aspirin SED pain / inflammation / antiplatelet 31. Ecotrin, aspirin SED pain / inflammation / antiplatelet 32. Cadia, potassium supplement potassium low potassium 33. Clocon, potassium supplement potassium low potassium 34. Clonopin, clonazepam benzo anxiety / depression 35. Coumadin, warfarin anticoagulant 36. Jantoven, warfarin anticoagulant 37. Singulair, montelukast oral lacotrian receptor antagonist asthma / respiratory / also seasonal allergic rhinitis 38. Laprasa, metoprolol tartrate selective BB hypertension /HF3 /29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 39. Ambrx, cyclobenzaprine muscle relaxer 40. Flecaryl, cyclobenzaprine muscle relaxer 41. Fexmid, cyclobenzaprine muscle relaxer 42. Seroquel, quetiapine fumarate atypical antipsychotics schizophrenia / bipolar 43. Plavix, clopidogrel antiplatelet stroke prevention 44. Oxycontin, oxycodone opioid pain 45. Decyl, trazodone tetracyclic antidepressant labeled for depression but usually sedative off-label 46. Coreg, carvedilol 47. Mevaca, lovastatin HMO-CoA reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia 48. Zoloft, sertraline SSRI anxiety / depression 49. Cymbalta, duloxetine SNRI anxiety / depression 50. Percocet, roxicet, Endocet, oxycodone / acetaminophen CII opioid pain 51. Advair, fluticasone propionate / salmeterol zinarfote bronchodilator asthma /COPD 4 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 52. Lantus, insulin glargine, rDNA origin, insulin diabetes 53. Tuyo, insulin glargine, rDNA origin, insulin diabetes ** 300 unit /ml ** 54. Simlin, Simlin pen, pramlintide analog of amylin hormone diabetes ** do not give if skip a meal ** 55. Tarprul XL, metoprolol succinate cardio-selective BBHTN 56. Zebiata, bisoprolol 57. Zithromox, ZMX, azithromycin macrolide bacterial infections 58. Prozac, fluoxetine SSRI anxiety / depression 59. Efega, venlafaxine SNRI anxiety / depression / nerve pain 60. Tenormin, atenolol cardio-selective BBHTN 61. Elavil, amitriptyline SNRI anxiety / depression / nerve pain 62. Combivant, ipratropium bromide / albuterol sulfate, MDI, COPD, asthma 63. Wellbutrin, bupropion norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor antidepressant / smoking aid 64. Zibin, bupropion norepinephrine dopamine reuptake inhibitor antidepressant / smoking aid 5 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 65. Nexium, esomeprazole PPI GERD 66. Ativan, lorazepam benzo anxiety / panic attacks 67. Trisa, phenofibrate fibrate dyslipidemia / triglycerides ** take with food cc ** 68. Lexapro, escitalopram SSRI anxiety / depression 69. Flonase, fluticasone propionate nasal corticosteroid nasal congestion 70. Deltasone, prednisone steroid inflammation / allergy / immunosuppression 71. Depakote, Devalpro valproic acid seizure / bipolar 72. Catapraz, clonidine alpha agonist hypertension / sedative / ADHD 73. Aldome, methyldopar alpha agonist hypertension 74. Cardizem, diltiazem CCBHTN and angina 75. Karsha, diltiazem 76. Tiazic, diltiazem CCBHTN and angina 6 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 77. Soma, carisoprodol carbamate muscle relaxer 78. Risperdal, risperidone atypical antipsychotic schizophrenia / antipsychotic 79. Mobic, meloxicam said anti-inflammatory 80. Detrol, toltrodine cholinergic incontinence 81. Topamax, topiramate anticonvulsant seizure / nerve pain 82. Martrin, ibuprofen said pain / inflammation 83. Amoxil, amoxicillin trihydrate penicillin bacterial infection 84. Trimox, amoxicillin trihydrate penicillin bacterial infection 85. Moxatag, amoxicillin trihydrate penicillin bacterial infection 86. Naproxen, naproxen 87. Zestoritic, lisinopril / hydrochlorothiazidase inhibitor and thiazide diuretic HTN 88. Prinzide, lisinopril / hydrochlorothiazidase inhibitor and thiazide diuretic HTN 89. Reglan, metoclopramide prokinetic nasio / GERD 7 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 90. Bactrim, sulfamethoxazole / trimethoprim sulfur antibiotic bacterial infection 91. Septra, sulfamethoxazole / trimethoprim sulfur antibiotic bacterial infection 92. Actose, pioglitazone thiazolidinedians diabetes 93. Abilify, aripiprazole atypical antipsychotic schizophrenia / antipsychotic 94. Fosamax, alendronate bisphosphonate osteoporosis 95. Spiriva, Sheotropium bromide inhalation bronchodilator COPD 96. Flomax, tamsulosin alpha blocker BPH 97. Lyrica, pregabalin anticonvulsant nerve pain 98. Micronase, glyburide sulfonyrua diabetes 99. Diabeta, glyburide sulfonyrua diabetes 100. Aricept, donepezil cholinesterase inhibitor Alzheimer's 101. Cresta, rosuvastatin HGMO co-reductase inhibitor dyslipidemia 102. Valium, diazepam benzo anxiety / panic attacks 8 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 103. Aldactone, spironolactone potassium sparing diuretic HF, HTN 104. Inspra, eplerenone potassium sparing diuretic HF, HTN 105. Bistolic, nebivolol 106. Tecturna, aliskiren plus HCTZ 107. Valterna, aliskiren and valsartan 108. Protonix, pantoprazole 109. Lamictal, lamorigine antipyletic seizure 110. Xopnex, levolbuterol labor asthma / COPD 111. Glucotrol, glucotrol XL, glipizide sulf diabetes 112. Allegra, fexufenadine antihistamine hives itching allergy 113. Pravacol, pravastatin HGMO co-reductase dyslipidemia 114. Premarin, estrogens conjugated cream estrogen menopause 115. Imda, ismo, isosorbide mononitrate nitrate angina, HTN 116. Monoke, isosorbide mononitrate nitrate angina, HTN 9 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 117. Izordil, dilatrate, isosorbide dinonitrate nitrate angina, HTN 118. Cipro, ciprofloxacin fluoroquinolone bacterial infection 119. Dizide, trienterine / hydrochlorothiazide diuretic HTN 120. Maxizide, trienterine / hydrochlorothiazide diuretic HTN 121. Fnagan, promethazine antihistamine allergies, pain, nausea 122. Xyloprim, allopurinol xanthine oxidase inhibitors gout 123. Nitrostat, nitroglycerin nitrates angina 124. Nitroquick, nitroglycerin nitrates angina 125. Prevacid, lansoprazole PPI GERD 126. Paxil, paroxetine SSRI anxiety / depression 127. Pexiva, paroxetine SSRI anxiety / depression 128. Vibramycin, doxycycline hiclate tetracycline antibiotics bacterial infection 129. Vibratabs, doxycycline hiclate tetracycline antibiotics bacterial infection 10 / 29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 130. ADRA, amphetamine / dextroamphetamine salts CII amphetamine ADHD 131. Novolog, insulin aspart, rDNA origin insulin diabetes 132. Namenda, memantine NMDA receptor blocker Alzheimer's 133. Duragesic, fentanyl transdermal opioid chronic pain 134. Remeron, mirtazepine SNRI anxiety / depression 135. Zetia, ezetimibe cholesterol absorption inhibitor dyslipidemia 136. Celebrex, celecoxib said pain / inflammation 137. Diovan, valsartan angiotensin reductase inhibitor HTN 138. Atarax, hydroxyzine HCl, OTC, antihistamine sleep, itching allergy, anxiety 139. Unizorm, doxylamine antihistamine sleep 140. Inderal, propranolol non-selective BB hypertension / HF 141. Brevibloc, esmolol 142. Inopran XL, propranolol non-selective BB hypertension / HF 11 / 29. Top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 143. Lanoxin, digoxin cardiac glycoside arrhythmia and HF 144. Lanoxicaps, digoxin cardiac glycoside arrhythmia and HF 145. Digitc, digoxin cardiac glycoside arrhythmia and HF 146. Dristol, vitamin D2, ergocalciferol inactive vitamin D bone health 147. Roquetrol, vitamin D3, calcitriol active vitamin D bone health 148. Amaryl, glympyride sulfura diabetes 149. Prandin, ripaglinide mglitinides rapid acting glinids 150. Starlix, nateglinide mglitinides rapid acting glinids 151. Vitarin, ezetimibe / simvastatin cholesterol absorption inhibitor plus HGMO cholesterol 152. Folate, folic acid deficiency / megaloblastic anemia 153. Folacin, folic acid B vitamin folic acid deficiency / megaloblastic anemia 154. Troylglutamine acid, folic acid B vitamin folic acid deficiency / megaloblastic anemia 155. Kiflex, cefalexin monohydrate cef antibiotic bacterial infection 12 / 29. Top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 156. Vazodc, enalapril maleate ACEHTN 157. Buspa, buspiron azapirone anxiety 158. Tegretol, carbamazepine antiepileptic seizure / nerve pain 159. Carbatrol, carbamazepine antiepileptic seizure / nerve pain 160. Equetrol, carbamazepine antiepileptic seizure / nerve pain 161. Coza, losartan potassium ARBHTN 162. Ritalin, methylene, metadate, methylphenidate phenethylamine and piperidine ADHD 163. Ditropin, oxybutynine chloride, oral, antispasmodic overactive bladder 164. Mescontin, morphine sulfate extended release opioid pain 165. Slow Fe, ferrous sulfate iron anemia 166. Ledodim, lidocaine transdermalamide local anesthetic pain for local area 167. NAPLEX, iron polysaccharide iron anemia 168. Cineme, carbidopar /levodopa dopaminergic agent Parkinson's 13 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 169. Duopa, carbidopar /levodopa dopaminergic agent enteral suspension 170. Ritari, carbidopar /levodopa dopaminergic agent cap 171. Stalevo, levodopa /carbidopar and entacapone, Cantan, 172. Zenaflex, tizonidine centrally acting ±2 adrenergic agonist muscle spasms muscle relaxant 173. Lioresal, baclofen muscle relaxant 174. Isoptin, verapamil non-DHP-CCBHTN, angina 175. Calan, verapamil non-DHP-CCBHTN, angina 176. Vrilan, verapamil non-DHP-CCBHTN, angina 177. Requip, ropinirole dopamine agonist Parkinson's 178. Scalaxin, metaxalone muscle relaxant muscle relaxer, pain 179. Restoral, temazepam benzo anxiety 180. Bentyl, dicyclomine gut antispasmodic IBS 181. Cerex, oxazepam benzo anxiety 14 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 182. Visteril, hydroxyzine pamoate antihistamine anxiety, itching 183. Dilantin, phenytoin sodium extended anticonvulsant seizure 184. Capsules, phenytoin sodium extended anticonvulsant seizure 185. Diovan HCT, valsartan /hydrochlorothiazide ARB plus thiazide HTN 186. Diflucan, fluconazole antifungal 187. Humulin, insulin diabetes 188. Flovent, fluticasone propionate inhalation steroid and decongestant 189. Lateral, amlodipine /benazpril 190. Exforge, amlodipine /valsartan CCB /ARBHTN 191. Aza, amlodipine /omasartan CCB /ARBHTN 192. Phenarphine with codeine, acetaminophen /codeine pain 193. Tylenol #3, acetaminophen /codeine pain 194. Trileptal, oxcarbazepine anticonvulsant seizure 195. Lithianate, lithium carbonate mood stabilizer bipolar disorder 15 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class indication 196. Lithotabs, lithium carbonate mood stabilizer bipolar disorder 197. Lithobid, lithium carbonate mood stabilizer bipolar disorder 198. Mirapex, pramipexole dihydrochloride dopamine agonist Parkinson's and restless leg 199. Nistap, nystatin topical antifungal fungal infection 200. Nasonex, mometazone furoate monohydrate intranasal nasal congestion /allergic rhinitis 201. Augmentin, amoxicillin /clavulinate potassium bacterial infection 202. Estrase, estradiol menopause 203. Latensin, benazepril ACEHTN 204. Tesalorm, benzoatate antitussive cough 205. Kenalog, triamcinolone acetonide topical corticosteroid itching /rash 206. Altase, ramipril ACE 207. Levaquin, levofloxacin fluoroquinolone bacterial infection 208. Keppra, levetiracetam antiepileptic seizure 209. Geodon, ziprasidone antipsychotic **** always take with food, similar to lurasidone **** 16/29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 210. Latuda, lurasidone antipsychotic **** always take with food, similar to ziprasidone **** 211. Fanapt, iloperidone antipsychotic **** same QT prolongation risk as ziprasidone **** 212. Prolixin, flufenazine first generation antipsychotic if decanoate is the salt, 2 to 4 weeks 213. Humalog, insulin lispro, rDNA origin diabetes 214. Methadose, methadone pain /opioid withdrawal 215. Apidra, insulin glulisine diabetes 216. Lopid, gemfibrozil fibrate cholesterol /triglyceride **** take 3 hours before breakfast and dinner **** 217. Binicar, omezartan medoxamil 218. Furacet, butalbital /acetaminophen caffeine migraine 219. Medrol, methylprednisolone steroid inflammation /rash allergies 220. Pepside, famotidine H2 blocker GERD 221. Alunister, esopiclone sedative insomnia 222. Altracet, tramadol /acetaminophen pain 223. Trexaul, methotrexate daily for cancer weekly for Ra 17 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 224. Januvia, sitagliptin DPP4 inhibitors diabetes 225. Cardura, doxazosin ±1 selective alpha blocker 226. Juvizinc, sitagliptin and simvastatin 227. Janume, sitagliptin and metformin 228. Minipress, prazosin ±1 selective alpha blocker BPH and HTN 229. Hitrin, trazosin ±1 selective alpha blocker 230. Binicar HCT, omezartan medoxamil /hydrochlorothiazide ARB and thiazide HTN 231. Actonel, risodronate bisphosphonate osteoporosis 232. Imita-E, sumatriptan migraine 233. Lomatil, dipenoxylate /atropine centrally active opioid diarrhea 234. Antivert, dramamine, meclizine nausea 235. Cogentin, benztropine Parkinson's 236. Felden, piroxicam said anti-inflammatory /pain 237. Cleocin, clindamycin oral lincosamide bacterial infection 238. Zavirox, acyclovir herpes, shingles chicken pox 18 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 239. Procardia, nifedipine DHPCCBHTN 240. Nifedical, nifedipine DHPCCBHTN 241. Adele, nifedipine DHPCCBHTN 242. Bumex, bumetanide diuretic HTN 243. Vasicare, salifenacin bladder relaxant overactive bladder 244. Acupril, quinapril ace HTN 245. Trivara, trifazole, Impris, levonorgestrel /ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 246. Avandia, rosiglitazone thiazolidinedione diabetes 247. Fnagan with codeine, promethazine /codeine cold medicine, opioid with HH1 antihistamine 248. Glucovance, glyburide /metformin sulf and biguanide diabetes 249. Novolin 70 /30, insulin Novolin diabetes insulin 250. Mitaglip, glipizide /metformin sulf and biguanide diabetes 251. Tricycle, tricycle low, trisprintic, Trinessa, Norgestimat /ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 252. Zyprexa, olanzapine schizophrenia /antipsychotic 19 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic class /indication 253. Yasmin, Ocella, drospirenone /ethinyl estradiol birth control 254. Voltaren, diclofenac sodium oral, can also be gel for pain, NSAID anti-inflammatory and pain 255. Agrinox, dipyridamole /aspirin antiplatelet to prevent stroke 256. Boniva, ibandronate bisphosphonate osteoporosis 257. Compazine, prochlorperazine phenothiazine class antipsychotic, anti-nausea and anxiety 258. Compro, prochlorperazine phenothiazine class antipsychotic, anti-nausea and anxiety 259. Bactroban, mupirocin antibiotic for skin infections 260. Macrodantin, nitrofurantoin antibiotic for UTI 261. Furadontin, nitrofurantoin antibiotic for UTI 262. Macrobid, nitrofurantoin antibiotic for UTI 263. Latrisone, clotrimazole /betamethasin dipropionate steroid /antifungal. It can treat fungal infections 264. Flagyl, metronidazole antibiotic 265. Robaxin, methocarbamol muscle relaxant. It can treat muscle spasms and pain. 266 Tushnex, chlorpheniramine /hydrocodone antihistamine /narcotic and narcotic. It can treat cough 267. Ivista, raloxifene estrogen modulator osteoporosis 20 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic class indication 268. Provigil, modafinil stimulant for narcolepsy 269. Nuvigil, armodafinil stimulant for narcolepsy 270. Carafate, sucralfate antacid. It can treat ulcers 271. Enables, derifenacin overactive bladder 272. Niaspan, niacin cholesterol medication and vitamin. It can treat high cholesterol and triglyceride levels as well as niacin deficiency. 273 Astelin, azilastin nasal itchy stuffy runny nose 274. Relafen, nabumtan Z, anti-inflammatory, It can treat pain and arthritis. 275 Valter-E, Valacyclovir herpes, shingles, chicken pox. 276 Armothyroid, thyroid, desiccated, T3 and T4 hypothyroid. 277 Zafran, ondansetron nausea / vomiting. 278 Acifex, rabeprazole PPI GERD. 279 Sinequan, docipin TCA anxiety / depression. 280 Theocron, Theo24, theophylline anhydrous asthma, emphysema COPD. 281 Chantix, varenicline tartrate smoking cessation. 282 Timoptic, timolol maleate ophthalmic non-selective BB. 283 Betopic, betaxolol ophthalmic selective BB. 21/29 Top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication. 284 Ocuprus, cartilol ophthalmic selective BB. 285 Omnisf, cefdinir antibiotic. 286 Levemir, insulin detemir diabetes. 287 Pristic, desvenlafaxine antidepressant. 288 Biota, exenatide GLP-1 agonist diabetes. 289 Lovasa, omega-3 acid ethyl esters triglyceride. 290 Mycardis, telmisartan ARB-HTN. 291 Zalatan, latanoprost glaucoma. 292 Stratra, atomoxetine SNRI-ADHD. 293 Vetides, Pen-VK, Veselin, penicillin V potassium. 294 Pen-VK, penicillin V potassium. 295 Veselin, penicillin V potassium. 296 Atripla, efavirenz, imtricitabine, tenofovir disoproxil fumarate HIV. 297 Plaquenil, hydroxychloroquine sulfate. Malaria in third world countries, RA and lupus in first world. 298 Zaraoxolin, metalazone thiazide diuretic. 299 Thalidan, chlorthalidone thiazide diuretic. 300 Prisca, finasteride BPH. 301 Mitacin AC, codeine / guaifenesin cough. 302 Robitussin AC, codeine / guaifenesin cough. 22/29 Top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication. 303 Minopril, Fosinopril ACEIHTN and HF. 304 Prempro, estrogen, conjugated, /medroxyprogesterone acetate estrogen replacement therapy for hot flushes caused by menopause. 305 Patanol, olopatadine ophthalmic eye allergic conjunctivitis. 306 Pataday, olopatadine ophthalmic eye allergic conjunctivitis. 307 Mavic, trandelapril ACEHTN. 308 Vival. Estradiol topical hormone replacement. 309 Luminol, phenobarbital beribwate sedative. 310 Sulfoten, phenobarbital beribwate sedative. 311 Vicaprofen, hydrocodone /ibuprofen opioid pain. 312 Orthocycle, Sprintic, Norgestimate / ethinyl estradiol contraceptive. 313 Avalide, irbesartan / hydrochlorothiazide. 314 Hyzar, losartan / hydrochlorothiazide ARB and HCTC for HTN. 315 Plendil, felidipine. 316 Yaz, drospirenone /ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 317. Pulmicort, budesonide inhalation steroid asthma 318. Travatan Z, travoprost glaucoma 319. Zysel, levocetirizine antihistamine for allergy 23/29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 320. Nasacort AQ, triamaquinolone acetonide intranasal allergy symptoms 321. Lostrin FE, microgestin FE, Tunal FE, norethindrone /ethinyl estradiol /ferrous fumarate contraceptive 322. Adipex B, phentermine appetite suppression for obesity 323. Ionamin, phentermine appetite suppression for obesity 324. Cordarin, amiodarin potassium channel blocker antiarrhythmic 325. Pacerone, amiodarin potassium channel blocker antiarrhythmic 326. Nizoral, ketoconazole antifungal 327. Avapro, irbesartan 328. Pamela, nortriptyline SNRI for depression 329. Arimidex, anastrozole estrogen for cancer 330. Avalox, moxifloxacin fluoroquinolone 331. Tamiflu, oseltamivir flu vaccine 332. Viagra, sildenafil citrate ed 333. Aprizoline, hydralazine HTN 334. Vivance, lisdexamfetamine dimesylate ADHD 335. Alphagon P, brimonidine tartrate glaucoma. Also it can treat facial redness caused by rosacea in its topical form 336. Lidex, fluoquinonide topical steroid. It can treat many skin disorders. It can also relieve pain, itching, and swelling of the skin. 24/29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 337. Nystatin oral. Nystatin oral. This medication is used to treat fungal infections of the mouth. 338 Minokin, minocycline tetracycline antibiotic 339. Levsin, Levbid, Levsin X, Hyosoyamine gut spasmodic for IBS 340. Levbid, Hyosoyamine gut spasmodic for IBS 341. Levsin X, Hyosoyamine gut spasmodic for IBS 342. Cialis, tadalafil 343. Cosept, dorsalamide /timolol maleate /non-selective BB 344. Pyridium, phenazopyridine urinary tract pain 345. Peridex, chlorhexidine gluconate. Chlorhexidine is an antibacterial used as an antiseptic and for other applications 346. Periogod, chlorhexidine gluconate. Chlorhexidine is an antibacterial used as an antiseptic and for other applications 347. Lumagan, bimatoprost antiglaucoma. It can reduce pressure inside the eye in its eye drops form. As an eyelash solution, it can help eyelashes grow. 348 NuvaRing, etonogestrel /ethinyl estradiol vaginal contraceptive 349. Prometrium, progesterone oral menopause 350. Lamizil, tarbinafine antifungal 351. Vigamox, moxifloxacin ophthalmic bacterial conjunctivitis 352. Sumicin, tetracycline antibiotic 353. Panmycin, tetracycline antibiotic 354. Tamovate, clobetasol propionate topical steroid itching redness 25/29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 355. Pruvera, medroxyprogesterone acetate contraceptive or endometrial pain 356. Ofral, low / Ofral, Ogistrel, Crisel, Norgestrel with ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 357. Bioxin, clarithromycin macrolide antibiotic 358. Dimadex, torsemide diuretic edema or HTN 359. Indocin, indomethacin Z, anti-inflammatory, it can treat pain. 360 Atacand, candesartan silex-ethyl ARB for HTN 361. Allegrity, fexufenadine / pseudopedrine allergy and congestion 362. Normodine, labetalol non-selective BBHTN 363. Trandate, labetalol non-selective BBHTN 364. Restasis, cyclosporine emulsion ophthalmic immunosuppressive agent used to treat chronic dry eye caused from inflammation 365. Mycardis HCT, telmisartan / hydrochlorothiazide ARB plus thiazide for HTN 366. Tenoritic, atenolol with chlorthalidone cardioselective BB plus diuretic 367. Mycolog 2, nystatin / triamaquinolone acetonide fungal skin infection and inflammation caused by it 368. Disogen, Apri, Orthocept, disogistrel with ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 369. Oriprid, prednisolone sodium phosphate inflammation, multiple sclerosis, and arthritis. 370 Zyma, gatiflocasin ophthalmic bacterial conjunctivitis 371. Levitra, vardenafil ed 26/29 top 300 drugs, brand / generic / class / indication 372. Staxin, vardenafil ed 373. Suboxone, buprenorphine / naloxone opioid withdrawal 374. Decadron, dexamethasone oral inflammation, allergic reactions, and flare-ups of ulcerative colitis. 375 Veramist, fluticasone furoate nasal allergy, congestion, sneezing, itching 376. Ciprodex, ciprofloxacin / dexamethasone treat outer ear infections 377. Focalin, dexmethylphenidate 378. Latensin HCT, benazepril / hydrochlorothiazide and thiazide for HTN 379. Elicon, mometazone furoate topical eczema, psoriasis, allergies, and rash 380. Clarinex, disloratadine antihistamine it can treat or prevent hives, allergy symptoms 381. Nolvadex, tamoxifen citrate 382. Duomb, ipratropium bromide with albuterol sulfate solution bronchodilator it can treat COPD. 383 Conchata, methylphenidate 384. Oxy-IR, oxycodone-IR opioid pain 385. Roxicodone, oxycodone-IR opioid pain 386. Miralax, polyethylene glycol 3350, NF osmotic laxative 387. Glycolax, polyethylene glycol 3350, NF osmotic laxative 388. Zyac, bisoprolol /hydrochlorothiazide selective BB /thiazide diuretic HTN27 /29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication 389. Lostrin 24Fe, norethindrone acetate, ethinyl estradiol, ferrous fumarate contraceptive 390. Colchicine, colchicine 391. Avodart, dutasteride BPH 392. Ceftin, sphioxime oral CEF antiarbic 393. Ales, Avion, levonorgestrel with ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 394. Mercet, Cariva, disogistrel with ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 395. Necon 1/35, Orthonovum 1/35, norethindrone and ethinyl estradiol contraceptive 396. Prevnar, pneumococcal vaccine 397. Lupron, Laprolide GnRH agonist prostate cancer 398. Zoladex, Goserelin GnRH agonist prostate cancer 399. Zitiga, abiraterone androgen biosynthesis inhibitors, prostate cancer 400. Casodex, bicalutamide first generation anti-androgen prostate cancer 401. Firmagon, Degarelix GnRH antagonist, prostate cancer 402. Rainexar, ranelazine add-on therapy for stable angina, reduce oxygen demand, reduce number of attacks, 403. Nimotap, nimodipine non-DHP-CCB hemorrhagic stroke 404. Cardan, nicardipine CCB 28/29 top 300 drugs, brand /generic /class /indication for hypertensive 3 in ischemic stroke patient, labetalol is other option, 405. Osmitrol, mannitol hemorrhagic stroke 406. Invokana, canagliflozin SGLT2 diabetes 407. Farxiga, dapagliflozin SGLT2 diabetes 408. Jardiance, empagliflozin SGLT2 diabetes 409. Precose, acarbose alpha glucosidase inhibitor diabetes **** no meal, no drugs **** 410. Glyze, miglytal alpha glucosidase inhibitor diabetes **** no meal, no drugs *** 411. Invirase, Scowinavi mesylate not ***** Scowinavi soft gel capsule **** 29/29.
Okay, welcome to the New Chemist Podcast, episode 3C. We go back to the basics and discuss fundamental ideas that support the understanding of pharmacy ideas. And we're using the format of a telephone conversation. This is definitely an episode worth listening to. So it's important to note that the purpose of these episodes are not at all medical advice, medical suggestions, or medical counsel. These are aimed to provide support for pharmacists-in-training in educational and intellectually stimulating ways. Again, please note that these are not at all medical advice, medical suggestions, or medical counsel. Please see your local state and board certified physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner, and pharmacist for medical advice and suggestions. Once again, these are not at all for medical advice, suggestions, or counsel. Please see your local state and board certified physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner, and pharmacist for medical advice, suggestions, and counsel. The views in this podcast represent those of my guests and I. So, pharmacy school is a blast. However, you must be very dedicated and maintain a good integration of your self-care regimen as well as your personal affairs as well as your academic responsibilities. So let's run through a few quick facts and then we'll conclude this episode for today. So pharmacokinetics, it's what the body does to the drug. We're talking about absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion over time. What is the goal of pharmacokinetics? We want to control the amount of drug exposure. So let's talk about respiratory alkalosis. It involves a rise in blood pH due to hyperventilation, so that's excessive breathing, and a resulting decrease in carbon dioxide. Let's talk about acidosis. What is it? Blood pH lower than 7.35. So let's also talk about extravascular drug absorption. That involves oral, the stomach, absorbing the intestine, metabolizing the liver. Some amount of drug reaches the systemic circulation, and the rest of the drug is excreted. Let's talk about intravascular drug absorption. Actually, we'll come back to that. Let's talk about the first pass effect. The initial metabolism in the liver of a drug absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract before the drug reaches systemic circulation through the bloodstream. Let's say that again. First pass effect. The initial metabolism in the liver of a drug absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract before the drug reaches systemic circulation through the bloodstream. Let's also talk about enterohepatic cycling. Drugs are transported through the bile back to the intestine, where they can be reabsorbed in the intestines, increasing the duration of action. One more time. Enterohepatic recycling. Drugs are transported through the bile back to the intestine, where they can be reabsorbed in the intestines, increasing the duration of action. So when we administer intravenously, you have 100% bioavailability. Intravascular administration involves IV as well as intraarterial. Local activity will involve things like general pulmonary, topical, ocular, intraocular. Systemic activity will involve things like oral, sublingual, buccal, intramuscular, subcutaneous. Selective beta blockers. So we're just running through a litany of facts that are useful. It's primarily under the umbrella of pharmacy basics. So just running through some ideas quickly. Just to give people a quick refresher for those who are in training at this time. Selective beta blockers, metoprolol, atenolol, all, bisoprolol, nebivolol, acetbutolol, betaxolol, esmolol. How is drug absorbed? Active transport with transport proteins or passive diffusion. So we already mentioned how intravascular administration involves intravenous and intraarterial. Let's see what else can we talk about. So let's talk about dissolution. It's the process of drugs dissolving in the GI tract. Dissolution rate, we look at the Noyes-Whitney equation. Smaller the particle size, the greater the absorption. Increasing the surface area increases the drug absorption. Let's make a quick note of that. Dissolution rate, we look at the Noyes-Whitney equation. Smaller the particle size, the greater the absorption. Increasing the surface area increases the drug absorption. Almost rhymes. Now, how to limit drug degradation? You have your enteric coating, biodegradable polymers, so a acidic environment in the stomach won't destroy the drug, increasing the amount of drug absorption. Bioavailability. Bioavailability. Amount of drug available systemically to produce an effect. So how much of the drug is available in the drug to produce a therapeutic effect. So how much is available to produce a therapeutic effect? So formula percent of drug absorbed. The amount appears in systemic circulation or the amount administered. High bioavailability is above 70%. Low bioavailability is below 10%. Let's go back to that again. Formula percent of drug absorbed. Amount appears in systemic circulation over the amount administered. So amount appears in systemic circulation over the amount administered. High bioavailability is above 70%, whereas low bioavailability is below 10%. So let's see. Let's give an example. So if we have 20, if we administered 100 milligrams of a drug orally, and 20 milligrams appears in systemic circulation, 20 over 100 is the same thing as 0.2. Multiply by 100 when we're talking about percent, it gives us 20%. Okay. And from the framework that we just discussed, that will give you an idea as to what extent or what amount of bioavailability is occurring with that problem. So drugs with 100% oral bioavailability: levofloxacin, linezolid. So those are examples of two. So formula for bioavailability: area under the plasma, concentration time curve representing total drug exposure. That's a mouthful. Let's go over that again. Formula for bioavailability: area under the plasma, concentration time curve representing total drug exposure. Okay, there are formulas for that. We can discuss that later. So what are the physicochemical properties that affect drug distribution? Lipophilicity. Lipids can easily cross the membrane. All the things that affect this drug distribution: molecular weight, ionization status. The charged particles cannot pass, non-charged particles can pass, and protein binding. So lipophilicity, molecular weight, ionization status, and protein binding. So LIMP, L-I-M-P, lipophilicity, ionization status, molecular weight, protein binding. Those are the lens to which you look at, or basically the parameters that you kind of look at when you're trying to determine understand what's affecting drug distribution. Also, let's go back to the formula for bioavailability. 100 times AUC subscript EX over AUC subscript IV times dose subscript IV over dose EX. So it's important to note that EX is referring to extravascular, IV is referring to intravenous, AUC is referring to area under the curve. 100 is being used because we're talking about percent, and F is absolute bioavailability. Let's run that back one more time. F is absolute bioavailability. We multiply by 100 because we're talking about percent. AUC is area under the curve. IV is referring to intravenous. EX is referring to extravascular. So F is 100 times AUC EX over AUC IV, and that whole thing is multiplied by dose IV over dose EX. So high protein binding. Drug has high affinity for albumin, so the amount of free drug will be low. The albumin acts as a reservoir for the drug, and it releases the free drug in small amounts to the tissue to exert its effect. This increases the duration of action. High protein binding. Drug has a high affinity for albumin, so the amount of free drug will be low. The albumin acts as a reservoir for the drug, and it releases the free drug in small amounts to the tissue to exert its effect. This increases the duration of action. 28. Albumin. So protein in the blood that's made in the liver. So let's see. Let's keep going. When a correction form, site-specific drug delivery. Antibodies bind to particular receptors on specific tissues or organs. Site-specific drug delivery involves antibodies binding to particular receptors on specific tissues or organs. So when are correction formulas needed? Highly bound protein drugs with patients whose serum albumin is low. Examples of highly protein bound drugs: phenytoin, warfarin. Examples of those. Let's look and see. What else can we talk about? Calcium corrected formula. So calcium, in brackets, reported serum plus, in brackets, 4.0, subtracting the albumin amount, and that difference is multiplied by 0.8. Phenytoin corrected formula. Total phenytoin measured over, in brackets, 0.2 times the albumin amount plus 0.1. So the product of 0.2 times the alpha amount in the bracket added to 0.1, the whole thing is a denominator under the numerator, which is total phenytoin measured. So volume of distribution, this is the amount of drug in body over plasma drug concentration. Okay, so small volume of distribution involves it being confined to plasma or extracellular space. Example, atobromycin, 0.2 liters per kilogram. Large volume distribution, wide distribution to all body tissues, so the plasma drug concentration is low. Tetracycline is an example of that, 7 to 9 liters per kilogram. So guys, what kind of volume of distribution would you want a drug to have if you were treating a systemic infection? You can think about that, process that in your healthcare profession class or science class. Okay. Let's see what else to talk about. So metabolism involves the process by which a drug is converted from its original chemical structure to other chemical forms. The original chemical form is the parent drug. Other chemical forms, metabolites, occurs primarily in gut and liver. You want the drug to be lipophilic so it can cross the phospholipid bilayer and exert its effects on the tissues. The body undergoes multiple biological reactions to make these intermediates hydrophilic so that they can be excreted by the body. Okay, so lidocaine undergoes extensive first-pass metabolism in the liver, so it's only administered, or typically administered in the intravenous form. Okay. Excretion, irreversible removal of the drug from the body. Organs for excretion, you have the kidneys, and that results. Kidneys function to produce urine. The gut, GI tract basically functions to produce feces. Lungs function to produce exhaled air. The skin functions to produce sweat. The liver functions to produce bile. So clearance is defined as the volume of plasma cleared of a drug over a period of time. Clearance is defined as the volume of plasma cleared of a drug over a period of time. Okay, two formulas for clearance involve the rate of elimination over concentration. Also, F times dose over area under the curve. Okay, so half-life, the time in which 50% of the drug is eliminated, T1/2. So first order elimination, constant percentage of drug is removed per unit time. The drug concentration is eliminated, and that's directly proportional to the concentration of the drug. Okay. Let's see what else we can talk about. Let's see. So, zero order elimination, the constant amount of drug is eliminated per unit time. So Michaelis-Menten kinetics, this is like, if you've done biochemistry and you're now in the pharmacy program, this is an idea that you see over and over and over again. So, let's think. Michaelis-Menten kinetics, you have your mixed story, is it saturable or non-linear kinetics? Increasing the dose leads to disproportionate increase in concentration. First section of the curve, lots of available enzymes. Second section, composition of enzymes, more drugs and binding sites available on enzyme. Third section, all the active sites on the enzymes are occupied. The drug is not being metabolized, leading to toxicity. So let's keep going. Km, concentration at half max, Vmax. Michaelis-Menten drugs, phenytoin, theophylline, voriconazole. Okay, let's keep going. It's important to note that let's just talk about a quick case scenario. Patient has been using phenytoin 100 milligrams 3 times daily. So TID, the phenytoin level was drawn and found to be 8.8 micrograms per milliliter, reference range 10 to 20 micrograms per milliliter. The prescriber doubled the dose to 20 milligrams 3 times daily, so TID. The patient started to slur words, felt fatigue, and returned to the clinic. The level was repeated and found to be 23.7 micrograms per milliliter. Which of the following is accurate regarding the most likely reason for the change in phenytoin level? So, what we understand is phenytoin metabolism can become saturated at higher doses. Phenytoin metabolism can become saturated at higher doses. Saturation point. Let's keep going now. Saturation point. Adding more substrate will make no difference in the reaction rate. Good rule of thumb for phenytoin: if there is 7 micrograms per milliliter in the serum, adjust doses in small increments, no more than 30 to 50 milligrams at a time. So Ke is the elimination rate constant. Let's see. The loading dose. Use of a higher dose than what is usually used for treatment to allow the drug to reach the concentration that exerts the therapeutic effect. As we progress, one of these episodes, we'll spend some time talking about therapeutic effects and therapeutic indices, therapeutic windows. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to talk about some pharmacology basics now. Pharmacology is the body of knowledge concerned with the actions of chemicals on biological systems. What is medical pharmacology? It involves the use of chemicals in prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of disease. What is toxicology? It is concerned with the undesirable effects of chemicals on biological systems. What is pharmacokinetics? It involves what the body does to the drug. You have your ADME, your absorption, your distribution, your metabolism, your excretion. What is pharmacodynamics? How I think about this is when I look at the word, D comes with 4 of the letters, M, A, and N. So it's what the drug does to the body, or drug does to the man. That's how I see it. That's how I process this. So pharmacodynamics, what the drug does to the body. What is onset of action? Is how much of the drug comes into circulation to produce the effect, determined by the route of administration and drug dosage. When you increase the drug dosage, the concentration of drug in the body will also increase. So what is onset of action? Is how much of the drug comes into circulation to produce effect. The effect, determined by the route of administration and drug dosage. When you increase drug dosage, the concentration of drug in the body will also increase. So what is duration of action affected by, or what can be affected by? The drug dosage, or higher the dosage. It also can be affected by the rate of distribution, the rate of metabolism, and the rate of excretion. So MEC, minimum effective concentration. It's the amount of drug required to produce a therapeutic effect. So what is the duration of action? It's the time between the rise to the decline at minimum effective concentration for therapeutic effect. What is the MOA, the mechanism of drug action? Drugs cannot produce any new action in the body, can act on enzymes, ion channels, upregulate or downregulate the system within the body. So there are some more things we want to talk about. Ligands, so they're signaling molecules, RA, receptor existing in the active state, RI, receptor existing in the inactive state. Depending on where you read, some people refer to, like in biochemistry, is referred to, they use different letters to describe those things in undergrad biochemistry. But for now, in this phase, we'll talk about RA being a receptor existing in an active state, RI, receptor existing in an inactive state. So the external receptor site. Ligands bind outside plasma membrane and produces change inside the cell. These are elegantly displayed with receptor proteins on the phospholipid bilayer. So internal receptor site. Drugs go inside the cell, bind the receptor inside the cell, moves to the nucleus to produce desired effect. So mechanisms of agonist-mediated activation. You have your ion channels, your GPCRs, wonderful group class of receptors, just excellent. Wonderful family, if you will. Receptor tyrosine kinases, intracellular hormone receptors. So those are things you want to like focus in on. Ion channel, ligand, gated voltage, gated second messenger regulated. Ligand gated ion channel, drug binds the ion channel, activating it to open, so it enters, triggering an action potential. Voltage gated ion channel, change in charge or potential between the inside of the cell and the outside of the cell, causing the channels to open to maintain internal homeostasis. Inside the cell, the charge is between -70 millivolts and -90 millivolts to open the gate to maintain internal homeostasis. Okay, let's go. Second messenger regulated. Various second messengers are regulated certain channels by opening and closing them. Some include calcium and cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP can cause the activation of enzymes which trigger signal transduction pathways. So your GPCRs, your guanine protein coupled receptors, a signal receptor protein in the plasma membrane that responds to the binding of a signal molecule by activating a G protein, also called a G protein linked receptor. Your RTKs, receptor tyrosine kinases. Insulin binds to tyrosine kinase receptor. Tyrosine kinase receptor undergoes autophosphorylation. Insulin receptor is activated. Downstream cascade of signals. Final signal is to recruit glucose transporters, GLUT. Move from cytosol to plasma membrane and take these into tissues for utilization or storage. So let's talk about some amino acids for a bit. Just for a quick bit, we know some amino acids with hydroxyl groups are your serine, tyrosine, and threonine. So serine, if you go from the peptide backbone and walk down the R group, you have, so serine has the methionine spacer, and hydroxyl tyrosine has your methionine spacer, your benzyl ring, and then your hydroxyl, and threonine has a methine spacer, then a methyl group that comes off from that, and then a hydroxyl group. Okay, so kinase is then going to cause this phosphorylation. If you want to look up the spacers in terms of methionine, TH2, methine, CH, is what we're referring to. We say those spacers. That's kind of organic chemistry talk, or speak, if you will, for those who are organic chemistry majors or who study some organic chemistry. So let's talk about kinases, enzymes that cause phosphorylation. So intracellular hormone receptor, mostly steroids, enter the cell easily because they are lipids, bind to receptors inside the cell in the cytoplasm, get activated, move to the nucleus, cause DNA transcription, which leads to the formation of particular proteins. So affinity, the measure of tightness in which a drug binds to a receptor. What is intrinsic activity? So the ability of a drug to activate a receptor upon binding an agonist. There's a drug that mimics the action of the endogenous ligand. Primary agonist. Drug binds the same recognition site as the endogenous agonist. So I've heard of allosteric, but this was a new one for me. Orthosteric. Orthosteric site, the primary or the right binding site. Allosteric agonist binds to a different region of the receptor. So allosterically is referring to another. That's what that word means, literally. Antagonists, drugs that block or reduce the activity of an agonist. So antagonist blocks the agonist. Agonists. And these have affinity but no intrinsic activity. And remember, intrinsic activity is the ability of a drug to activate a receptor upon binding. Asymptotic interaction. Competition with agonists for the same overlapping site. Asymptotic interaction. Competition with agonists for the same or overlapping site. You got your physical antagonist. Physically interacts and nullifies the action of the drug. Example, charcoal, which is a good absorbent. It binds to alkaloid to form a complex and will be excreted. The chemical antagonist, the drug forms compounds with other substances like calcium and magnesium. Example, tetracycline binds with calcium in milk and then will be eliminated. You have your physiological antagonist, a drug that counters the effects of another by binding to a different receptor and causing opposing effects. Drugs that produce an opposite action by binding to a different receptor. Example, adrenaline is a physiological antagonist to histamine because adrenaline causes bronchodilation and histamine causes bronchoconstriction. Pharmacological antagonists. The drug that binds to the receptor and produces no effect and shows no intrinsic activity. And remember, intrinsic activity is basically the ability of a drug to activate a receptor upon binding. Partial agonists. A drug that binds to a receptor and causes a response that is less than that caused by a full agonist. You have your inverse agonists. In the stomach, histamine receptors are constitutively activated. They're activated without stimulus. So under normal conditions, they're operating at 20%. Inverse agonists inhibits these receptors, bringing them down to 0%. Competitive agonists, same binding site alatness, resembles chemically with agonists. You have a right shift on the dose-response curve. Response depends on concentration. So your dose and response, your dose can be considered like your X value. Your response can be considered like your Y value, if you will. So you plot. So non-competitive agonists, different binding site of agonists, not resemble chemically, a downward shift of dose-response curve. Increasing agonist concentration won't make a difference. So one more time, non-competitive agonists, you have a different binding site of agonists, not resembled chemically, you have a downward shift of the dose-response curve. Increasing agonist concentration won't make a difference in this case, or in that case. So how do we activate receptor sites? You open or close ion channels, speed up or slow down transporters, increase or decrease enzyme activity. So efficacy. What is efficacy? It is the maximum effect a drug can produce. It can be measured with a graded dose-response curve. Potency is the amount of drug needed to produce a given effect, determined by affinity of the receptor for the drug. So EC50, the dose is required for an individual to experience 50% of the maximum effect. ED50, the dose required to produce a therapeutic effect in 50% of the population. Median effective dose. So your therapeutic index, it's a ratio. It compares the blood concentration at which a drug becomes toxic and the concentration at which the drug is effective. Your LD50 over your ED50. 10 to 1 safer drug because it has a wider therapeutic index. 3 to 1, more dangerous drugs needs more attention because the therapeutic index is narrow. LD50, median lethal dose. So tolerance. What is tolerance? Reduced response to drug after prolonged use, develops gradually over a long period of time. For example, alcoholics need more alcohol on the second day to feel the same effect from the first. If it is accustomed to alcohol, so they're intense already. So let's talk about pharmacokinetic tolerance. It involves the enhanced enzymatic breakdown. It reduces the amount of drug reaching its site of action. Example, barbiturates, carbamazepine, reduce their own metabolism. So oil metabolism or oil destruction on frequent repeated use. So The pharmacodynamic tolerance. So you had your pharmacokinetic tolerance. Now let's talk about pharmacodynamic tolerance. It is the tolerance caused by altered nervous system sensitivity, change in receptors. It involves the action of drug as being reduced because of downregulation of receptors, meaning that receptor expression or the amount of receptor present will be less. The receptor is not as active as before, or it involves the sensitization of receptors, meaning the receptors will not function as well. So proteins could go through PTMs or post-translational modifications, meaning that they lose, for example, a sulfide due to the drug use, losing their function. Some changes are reversible, others are not. And internalization, and that internalization of receptors, so receptor will not be available, and exhaustion of mediators, depletion of catecholamine or epinephrine as well. So natural inherent tolerance involves the genetic makeup, makes an individual resistant or will have more response to a drug. Acquired tolerance occurs when repeated use of drug. Tolerance develops to sedative action of chlorpromazine, but not its antipsychotic action. Tolerance occurs to sedative action of phenobarbital, but not to its anti-epileptic action. So cross tolerance. Development of tolerance to pharmacologically related drugs. Example, partial tolerance between morphine and barbiturates. And then you also have complete cross tolerance between morphine and pethidine, same drug class. So what is tachyphylaxis? It's a type of tolerance that occurs rapidly within minutes or seconds when it takes a small concentration of drug to cause this. So what are some drugs that have a low or narrow therapeutic index? You have your acetaminophen, your theophylline, carbamazepine, digoxin, warfarin, lithium, phenytoin, gentamicin, vancomycin, antidepressants, bicyclic insulin. Let's talk some more. And what are your drugs with the narrow therapeutic index? Acetaminophen, theophylline, carbamazepine, digoxin, warfarin, lithium, phenytoin, gentamicin, vancomycin, antidepressants, bicyclic insulin. So drugs with a high or wide therapeutic index are your NSAIDs, your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, your benzodiazepines, most antibiotics, furosemide, and your SSRIs. Nitroglycerin can cause tolerance. As a pharmacist, you must tell the patient they need to have a 10 to 12 nitrate-free period to prevent tolerance. Nitroglycerin causes vasodilation. Let's keep going. Synergism. One drug is going to have an additive effect with another drug, increasing efficacy. Action of one drug is facilitated or increased by another drug, or when one drug is inactive alone but active when combined with another. Additive, the effect of two drugs in the same direction. Example, amlodipine. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we also have so example, do you have the additive, the effect of two drugs in the same direction? Example, amlodipine and atenolol, all antihypertensive. Amlodipine is a calcium channel blocker, and atenolol is a beta blocker. Both work to reduce hypertension and act on different places in the heart. You have glibenclamide, and metformin. Hypoglycemic glibenclamide is a sulfonylurea that increases insulin receptor sensitivity and causes secretion of insulin, acts on pancreas. Metformin acts on liver to control blood glucose level. So super additive, otherwise known as potentiation. The effect of the combination is greater than the individual effects of each component. Acetylcholine and physostigmine. Acetylcholine acts on muscle produce effect. Physostigmine is inactive. Both are degraded by acetylcholinesterase. When acetylcholine is alone, the enzyme will break it down quickly. You have physostigmine. With it, the enzyme doesn't know which one to attack. Competition between the two, so it increases the duration of acetylcholine. Levodopa and carbidopa. Levodopa treats Parkinson's disease by converting to dopamine to prevent movement disorder. When taken orally, levodopa is converted to dopamine in the intestine, causing adverse effects like nausea, vomiting. Give it with carbidopa, which prevents the breakdown of the intestines, so it can be transported to the brain, across the blood-brain barrier, where it can convert to dopamine to act on the basal ganglia, sulfamethoxazole/trimethoprim. Inhibits two enzymes, inflammation of tetrahydrofolic acid, which is required for bacterial cell wall synthesis. If you want to kill the bacteria, you need sulfamethoxazole to prevent the conversion of PABA to an intermediate product. And then you need trimethoprim to prevent the conversion of the intermediate product to tetrahydrofolic acid. So enalapril and hydrochlorothiazide. Enalapril, angiotensin converting inhibitor. Hydrochlorothiazide, diuretic, acts in two different places to produce the antihypertensive effect. So let's wrap this up. Drug action and enzymology. So the ES is referring to your enzyme substrate complex. The enzyme, a type of protein that speeds up a chemical reaction in a living thing. Enzymes are globular proteins, very specific. Substrate, reactant, EP, enzyme product complex, irreversible inhibition of enzymes caused by covalent bonds. Enzymes cannot be regenerated. The only way the product can be catalyzed is when new enzyme molecules are produced in the body. Reversible inhibition of enzymes. Enzymes can be freed from the complex to give the active enzyme. Ka, association constant of ligand with receptor site. Kd, association constant for the receptor. EC50, drug concentration given response halfway between the baseline and maximum. IC50, concentration which produces 50% of the maximum possible inhibitory response, which is equal to the quantal response. Quantal response equals IC50. So affinity, the ability of a compound to bind tightly to the target. Intrinsic activity, the drug's ability to produce an effect once bound to the receptor. Potency, the amount of drug needed to produce an effect. The more potent the drug, the steeper the slope on the DRC, on the dose response curve. Efficacy. So efficacy. The potential maximum therapeutic response a drug can have, example, furosemide eliminates more salt and water than chlorothiazide, so furosemide has a higher efficacy. Efficacy, the potential maximum therapeutic response a drug can produce. Allosteric site, or allosteria is referring to another, it's a site the drugs bind to that exerts the activity that's not the actual receptor site of the endogenous ligand. So isosteres, which is a nice word, replacement of modifications of functional groups with other groups having similar properties. So replacement or modifications of functional groups with other groups having similar properties. It tunes, make sure you remember that word, tunes the drug metabolism, receptor fit distribution and other properties. So bioisosterism, swapping of functional groups present in the chemical compound while maintaining the desired biological activity. Corrects undesired properties. So let's wrap this up. This involves starting with the parent compound and using isosteres, which involves slightly changing the general structure to make more desirable structures. These are analogs. So isosteres of hydrogen, fluorine, isosteres of fluorine, hydroxyl, amine, so NH2 or CH3, brackets H, isosteres of carbon, isosteres of hydroxyl, amine, isosteres of sulfur hydryl, hydroxyl, isosteres of chlorine, bromine, and trifluoromethyl. So this is the end of the episode.
You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist podcasting group. You listening in is significant.
Vous êtes très important, surtout pour nous ici au New Chemist Podcasting Group. Votre écoute est significative.
Usted es muy importante, especialmente para nosotros aquí en The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Usted escuchando, es significativo.
Você é muito importante. Especialmente para nós do The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Você ouvindo, é significativo.
Είστε πολύ σημαντικοί, ειδικά για εμάς εδώ στο The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Το να ακούς είναι σημαντικό.
Sie sind sehr wichtig, besonders für uns hier bei The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Es ist wichtig, dass du zuhörst.
Je bent erg belangrijk, vooral voor ons hier bij The New Chemist Podcasting Group. Dat je meeluistert, is veelbetekenend.
You are very important, especially to us here at the New Chemist Podcasting Group. You listening in is significant.
Welcome to the New Chemist podcast.
We are so glad you are listening. Feel free to subscribe on Spotify and tell your friends and colleagues about the podcast. Welcome, Welcome podcast. Tell your friends and colleagues about the podcast.
Welcome to the New Chemist podcast.
Bienvenidos al podcast del nuevo químico.
Καλώς ήρθατε στο podcast του New Chemist. Welkom bij de podcast van The New Chemist.
Bienvenue sur le podcast du nouveau chimiste.
Bem-vindo ao podcast do novo químico.
Welcome to the New Chemist podcast. Work hard. Be value driven. You can do it. You can grow and learn it. You can be the difference you and your community needs. Don't give up. We are here rooting and cheering for you. Don't give up.
Travaillez dur. Soyez axés sur la valeur. Tu peux le faire. Vous pouvez grandir et l'apprendre. Vous pouvez être la différence dont vous et votre communauté avez besoin. N'abandonnez pas. Nous sommes ici pour vous encourager et vous encourager. N'abandonnez pas.
Trabalhar duro. Seja orientado por valores. Você consegue. Você pode crescer e aprender. Você pode ser a diferença que você e sua comunidade precisam. Não desista. Estamos aqui torcendo e torcendo por você. Não desista.
Δούλεψε σκληρά. Να οδηγείτε στην αξία. Μπορείς να το κάνεις. Μπορείτε να μεγαλώσετε και να το μάθετε. Μπορείτε να είστε η διαφορά που χρειάζεστε εσείς και η κοινότητά σας. Μην τα παρατάς. Είμαστε εδώ για να σας ζητοκραυγάσουμε. Μην τα παρατάς.
Trabaja duro. Sea impulsado por el valor. Puedes hacerlo. Puedes crecer y aprenderlo. Usted puede ser la diferencia que usted y su comunidad necesitan. No te rindas, estamos aquí animándote y animándote. No te rindas.
Werk hard. Wees waardegedreven. Je kunt het. Je kunt groeien en leren. U kunt het verschil zijn dat u en uw gemeenschap nodig hebben. Geef niet op. We zijn hier om voor je te roten en te juichen. Geef niet op.
Work hard. Be value driven. You can do it. You can grow and learn it. You can be the difference you and your community needs. Don't give up. We are here rooting and cheering for you. Don't give up. Thanks for listening. We're glad you were able to tune into this podcast. Once again, this is the New Chemist, where we discuss chemistry, which simply put is the science of change, as well as the other sciences, careers, community, research, and COVID-19. Thanks again for listening. Note: The views on this podcast represent those of my guests and I.